juggling 3 broken cell phones. It was Mercury Retrograde. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App $Rap Palace 214. Hello everybody. Retrograde sneered, tripping over a chair and spilling coffee on Saturn's paperwork. Miss me? Absolutely not, Mercury snapped, clutching its binders like a shield. You're not supposed to be here until next quarter. Retrograde grinned, pulling out a flip phone from 2002. Oh, sorry, my calendar glitched. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App $Rap Palace 214. Cherry blinked. The baby's toys flickered in and out of existence. The toy microphone turned into a spoon, then back again. The toy laptop blue-screened. Retrograde leaned over the crib. So this is the new chatterbox. Cute. Let's see how they handle a little miscommunication. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App $Rap Palace 214. The simulation restarted. Task 1. Send an email. Cherry babbled into the toy laptop. Retrograde cackled, twisting the words. Instead of Dear Friend, the email auto-corrected to Dear Fried. The moon howled with laughter. Mercury fainted into its binder again. Saturn scribbled, Learn proofreading early. RP Radio. Love the content, drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rap Palace 214. Task 2. Give a speech. Cherry grabbed the toy microphone and let out a cheerful babble. Retrograde waved its hands, and suddenly the words translated into total gibberish. The crowd booed. One hologram threw a shoe. Jupiter jumped up. No worries, Cherry. Just smile and wave. Pluto muttered. One day, this chaos will fuel their rise. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rap Palace 214. Task 3. Technology check. Mercury handed Cherry a shiny toy tablet. Just press the button to record your speech. Cherry pressed it. The tablet exploded into a puff of glitter, confetti, and error codes. Retrograde bowed. Thank you. I'll be here for 3 weeks at a time, 3 times a year. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rap Palace 214. The room descended into chaos. Mercury shouted, You're ruining everything. Retrograde laughed. I'm not ruining, I'm revising. Delays, glitches, confusion, it's all part of the charm. The moon whispered to Cherry. Honestly, kinda fun. Saturn yelled, This is an outrage. Jupiter yelled louder, This is an opportunity. RP Radio. Love the content. Drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App Rap Palace 214. Cherry, overwhelmed, suddenly let out a loud, determined squeal. The toys flickered, glitched, and then stabilized. The microphone hummed, the laptop rebooted, the tablet stopped the smoking. Retrograde froze. Wait, did the baby just override me? The universe smirked. Looks like Cherry has something you don't, Retrograde.
Chapter 1. Permission. The first thing they noticed was how quiet it was. Not the normal quiet of a room waiting for a speech, or the respectful hush that falls when a fighter steps into a ring. This was different. This was the kind of quiet that made your heartbeat sound like it had its own microphone. The kind of quiet that didn't invite you to talk. Quiet that made talking feel like vandalism. The silent council hall had always been a place of decisions, but it had never felt like this. The air itself carried weight now, as if the rap palace had learned a new language, one made of stillness instead of sound. The pillars rose like frozen thunder. The floor, black stone braided with faint white gold threads, reflected everyone's outline as if it were taking attendance. And at the far end of the hall, where the light gathered without any visible source, stood Anonymous Cherry. He wasn't in a fighting stance. That alone unsettled them. No flared aura, no dramatic pulse of chi, no flexing of snake chi's green-blue edge around the purple field. No warning signs that a battle was about to begin. His presence didn't roar. It didn't even whisper. It simply was like gravity, like a decision already made, like an outcome that had been waiting for them before they were even born. There were 12 of them, and they came together on purpose. Not a random crowd, not a curious group of trainees. These were high-status raps, leaders of crews, owners of platforms, faces of movements, names that carried weight in the city. They were used to being listened to, used to being accommodated, used to being handled carefully, because the wrong word to the wrong person could start a chain reaction in the streets. They came with a story rehearsed. They came with language prepared. They came with the kind of confidence that usually made doors open before they even touched the handle. But the palace didn't respond. The sealed doors behind them shut with a soft click that sounded like a signature. A few of them flinched. One of them laughed too loudly, like laughter could reassert control. "All right," that rap said, spreading his hands as if he were greeting a crowd. "We're here for the chamber." Anonymous didn't move. The rap continued anyway, because that's what he always did, kept the momentum so nobody else could take it. "We're not here to waste time. We're here to lock in results. We heard you got a system now. A deck. Whatever. We want it." He said one like it was the same thing as ready. Anonymous' eyes didn't harden. They didn't soften. They stayed clear, like a mirror that didn't care what you hoped to see. Somewhere to his right, almost blending into the architecture, stood Archivist Rap, not posing, not performing, just present, quiet as ink, watching as if every breath here was part of a record that would matter later. On the other side, Professor Rap leaned against a pillar with an expression that could have been boredom if it wasn't so sharp. He looked like a man waiting for a lie to collapse. Civil Surfer Rap stood near the edge of the light, hands loose, posture calm, like he was listening for a wave that hadn't yet. Mama Ama Rap didn't stand at all. She sat grounded like a mountain that had decided to be polite. The 12 raps in front tried to pretend none of that bothered them. One step forward, a rap with jewelry heavy enough to sound like a warning, and eyes that scanned the room the way predators scan a street. "Name your price," he said. A few others nodded relieved. This was the language they understood. This was the method that worked in every world. Offer something big, and people fall in line. Anonymous spoke for the first time. His voice wasn't loud, it didn't need be. "Price is not the issue." The words landed like a clean stamp. The jewelry rap frowned. "Then what's the issue?" Anonymous looked at him the way you look at a person reaching for a weapon they don't know how to hold. "Permission." A ripple went through the group. Confusion first, then irritation. Because irritation is what happens when your script stops working. Another rap stepped forward, a media rap, the kind who lived in cameras. His voice had the polished edge of someone used to being agreed with. "Look," he said, "we're not here to play games. We've done the work. We've built what we've built. We're ready for the next level. We heard the palace opens certain doors for certain people. So open it." He pointed toward the glow behind Anonymous like he was ordering a bartender. The palace remained still. Anonymous' expression didn't change, but the temperature in the room dropped by a degree, not in a supernatural way, but in the way a room changes when someone in it suddenly realizes they're not in control. Professor Rapp's voice cut in, calm as a surgeon. "You're asking for results without surrender." The media Rapp scoffed. "Man, we don't gotta surrender to nobody. We just need the method." Archivist Rapp spoke next, and it was almost worse because it wasn't emotional at all. Request logged as outcome theft attempt. The media Rapp's eyes snapped toward him. "You writing jokes now?" Archivist Rapp didn't blink. "I don't write jokes. I write outcomes." That line made a few of them shift their footing. Not fear, something closer to the uncomfortable sensation of being seen too accurately. Anonymous stepped forward once. Just one step. The stone under his foot didn't crack. It didn't explode. It simply accepted him, the way the world accepts a truth it can't argue with. "Speak," he said. One of them laughed again, too loud. "We are speaking," he said. Anonymous didn't react to the laughter. "Not as a group," he replied. "One." That's when the first fracture appeared. Groups feel strong until you ask for a single person to stand alone. There was a beat of silence where the 12 didn't know who should take the lead, because nobody wanted to take the risk of being the one exposed. Finally, a Rapp in the back stepped forward. He didn't have the flashiest clothes. He didn't have the loudest voice, but his eyes had something the others didn't. Tired honesty. "I need help," he said. 2 words, no branding, no status, no negotiation. The room changed, not because Anonymous moved, but because the palace did. The white gold threads in the floor brightened faintly, and the air softened just enough to be noticeable. It was subtle, so subtle you could miss it if you weren't paying attention. But everyone felt it. Civil Surfer Rapp nodded once, like he just heard the wave finally speak. Mama Emma Rapp's shoulders loosened by a fraction. Professor Rapp's mouth curved slightly. Not a smile, more like recognition. The jewelry Rapp snapped, "Man, don't do that. Don't embarrass us." The honest Rapp didn't look back. "I'm already embarrassed," he said quietly. "That's why I'm here." Anonymous' gaze stayed on him, steady. "What do you want?" Anonymous asked. The Rapp swallowed. His throat moved like he was trying to push down a lifetime of pride. "I want to stop sabotaging my own life," he said. The words hit harder than any punch. Even the loud ones went quiet. Anonymous nodded once. "Then you're in." The honest Rapp blinked. "That's it?" Anonymous' voice stayed calm. "That's entry." Archivist Rapp raised a small slate more symbolic than necessary, because in the Rapp Palace even symbols held weight. "Entry card, silent readiness," he said. "Confirmed." The other Rapps erupted instantly, because when one person gets access, everyone else feels cheated. "Hold on," the media Rapp snapped. "So we don't get in because we're not crying in front of you?" Professor Rapp spoke softly, and his softness made it sharper. "You don't get in because you came to purchase a mask upgrade." The jewelry Rapp pointed at Anonymous like he was threatening him with attention. "Who gave you the right to decide any of this?" That was the real question. Not about money. Not about access, not about fairness. It was a question about dominance. The question people ask when they realize they can't force a door open. Anonymous didn't answer immediately. He let the silence do what silence does, reveal who can't handle it. A few of them fidgeted. A few looked away. One tightened his fists. Another's jaw worked like he was chewing rage. Then Anonymous answered, and his voice didn't rise, didn't shake, didn't perform. "You did," he said. The jewelry wrap stared. Anonymous continued, "When you showed up asking." That sentence made the room colder again, not with threat, but with inevitability. Because it wasn't an insult, it was a law. You don't ask someone for help unless some part of you already recognizes their authority. The jewelry wrap's face twisted, as if he wanted to deny it, but denial didn't change the physics of what had happened. Archivist Rapp spoke almost gently. Resistance exceeded exchange. The jewelry wrap barked a laugh. "We didn't even offer exchange yet." Archivist Rapp looked at him like a man looking at a clock that didn't care what you believed. "You offered status," he said. "That is not exchange. That is an attempt to purchase superiority." Civil Surfer Rapp spoke for the first time, voice smooth like water cutting stone. "You came with noise," he said. But the palace responds to signal. Mama Ama Rapp's voice rumbled low, not angry, just final. Readiness is a kind of payment. The 12 stood there, realizing they weren't arguing with people anymore. They were arguing with a system. And systems don't get offended. Systems don't feel guilt. Systems don't bargain. The honest Rapp stepped toward the light behind Anonymous, and the air split for him like a curtain. A doorway appeared where there hadn't been one. It wasn't flashy. It didn't glow dramatically. It simply opened the way a truth opens when you finally stop fighting it. The others stared. A few felt something close to panic, because doors weren't supposed to choose. People were supposed to choose, but the Rapp Palace wasn't a building. It was a judge. The jewelry Rapp's voice dropped into something darker. "This ain't over," he muttered. Professor Rapp looked at him with mild curiosity. "It wasn't even started," he replied. The jewelry Rapp turned toward the sealed doors. Something inside him made a decision. Not to change, not to surrender, not to become ready, but to punish the one who made him feel unready. He didn't speak that decision out loud. He didn't need to. The palace felt it anyway. The lights along the floor dimmed as the group's energy curdled into resentment. Anonymous watched them with no hatred. Hatred would have been attention. And attention was exactly what they wanted. Instead, he gave them the most dangerous thing a person can give an entitled enemy. Nothing. Archivist Rapp's voice echoed through the hall like a verdict. Entry failed. Resistance exceeded exchange. Exit enforced. The sealed doors opened for them without warmth, the way a prison gate opens for someone who insists on leaving freedom behind. They stepped out into the city carrying the same power they came with, and none of the permission. Behind them, the doors closed again. Inside the council hall, the honest Rapp stood trembling at the threshold of the chamber, not from fear of battle, but from fear of finally becoming someone new. Anonymous placed a hand lightly on his shoulder, not to comfort, to steady. "Once you go in," Anonymous said, "you don't come back for the same reason." The Rapp nodded, eyes wet, jaw clenched. "I know," he whispered, and he stepped forward. The chamber accepted him. The doorway sealed behind him like the end of an old life. The palace felt quiet again. Not because nothing was happening, but because the most powerful thing in the Rap Palace was no longer chi. It was clarity. And clarity didn't fight. Clarity decided. Clarity sealed. Clarity refused to explain itself. That night, as the rejected Raps walked away plotting revenge in the dark, Rap Palace Radio recorded only one final line for the archives. Transformation is not earned by effort. It is unlocked by alignment. Chapter 2, The First Betrayer. The city didn't explode after the doors closed. That surprised everyone. No riots. No sudden war. No dramatic shift in the skyline or the air. Just movement. Quiet movement. Like ants rerouting around a stone they couldn't lift. The 12 who'd been refused didn't walk together for long. Groups fracture faster when pride is injured, and by the time they reached the edge of palace territory, they had already begun separating, each Rap nursing a private version of the same wound. I should have been let in. That metastasized quickly. Some of them buried it. Some rationalized it. One of them fed it. His name didn't matter anymore. Not the name he'd been born with. Not the name he'd built. What mattered was what he decided to become. Grand entrance, the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk smash that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also, Donation Rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my Cash AP is Rap Palace 214. He didn't rage immediately. That's the mistake people expect. Rage is loud. Rage is obvious. Rage gets you noticed before you're ready. No, this rap went quiet. He walked the city alone that night, past streets where his name still meant something, past faces that still nodded in respect. Every sign of status felt like mockery now. Every smile felt unearned. They think I lost, he realized. That was intolerable. He replayed the moment again and again. The silence in the hall. The way Anonymous had looked through him instead of at him. The way the palace itself had chosen someone else. Not someone stronger. Not someone richer. Someone emptier, the thought burned. It wasn't authority, he muttered to himself. It was a trick. That was the seed. Tricks imply loopholes, and loopholes can be exploited. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk smash that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. The Also Donation Rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my Cash App Palace 214. The rap didn't go home. He went underground. Not physically, strategically. Old contact, discarded allies. People who'd once benefited from his rise and resented how fast it had happened. He spoke carefully. He didn't say betrayal. He didn't say revenge. He framed it the way manipulators always do, as correction. There's a system forming, he told them. And it's dangerous. People leaned in when he said that. Not dangerous like violent, he clarified. Dangerous like exclusive. Dangerous like deciding who's worthy. That language landed. Worthiness always does. He described the consulting deck, not accurately, but convincingly. He left out the exit. He minimized the exchange. He exaggerated Anonymous' authority until it sounded tyrannical instead of earned. Right now, he said, there's only one way in. One man decides. Someone asked the obvious question. So what do you want to do about it? The rap didn't answer immediately. He let the silence build just enough to feel intentional. I want to build another door. That was the second seed. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk smash that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate my Cash App is Rap Palace 214 across the city. The Rap Palace didn't react. No alarms, no counter move, no warning. Archivist Rap noticed the pattern first, not emotionally, but statistically. Small anomalies. Conversations repeating with the same distorted language. Phrases like gatekeeping, elitism, false authority appearing too often to be coincidence. He logged it. External narrative formation detected. Professor Rap noticed next. He felt it in the questions people stopped asking him. They weren't asking, how do I grow, anymore. They were asking, who's allowed to grow? That shift mattered. Someone's framing the wrong problem, Professor Rap said quietly. Civil Surfer Rap felt it last, not as tension, but as resistance. The flow of the city wasn't blocked. It was being redirected. He stood on a high balcony overlooking the lower districts and exhaled slowly. A countercurrent, he murmured, and it's forcing itself. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk smash that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my Cash App is Rap Palace 214. The rap who would become the first betrayer didn't call it a counter deck. He called it access. He gathered designers, performers, symbol makers, people good at aesthetics and bad at consequences. They built cards quickly, too quickly, cards that looked right, sounded right, promised right. Authority symbols, outcome language, even a rough imitation of the palace seal. But there was one thing they didn't include. Silence. Their cards were loud. They explained themselves. They reassured. They comforted, and comfort sold fast. The rap watched people line up, not because they were ready, but because they were angry. Angry people always want shortcuts. See, he told his inner circle, they don't want permission. They want options. That was the lie. Options feel empowering until you realize none of them lead anywhere. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk smash that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my Cash App is Rap Palace 214. The first client came through trembling with resentment. They wouldn't let me in, she said. Said I wasn't aligned enough. The rap smiled. Alignment was a word he now despised. That's because alignment is subjective, he said smoothly. Here we respect intent. He handed her a card. It glowed, it hummed, it felt important. She felt better immediately. That should have worried him. Instead, he took it as proof he was right. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk smash that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my Cash App is Rap Palace 214. Inside the Rap Palace, a single light dimmed. Just one. Archivist Rap looked up from his records. Unsealed outcome detected, he said. Professor Rap frowned. That's not possible. Archivist Rap tilted his head. It is, he replied. if the exit is removed. Silence followed, not the good kind. The kind that means something will have to be addressed, but not yet. Anonymous Cherry stood alone in the council hall, eyes closed, breathing slow. He didn't intervene. He didn't counter. He didn't warn, because this wasn't an attack. It was a test, not of power, of patience. The first betrayer believed he had created a new door. What he had actually done was remove the floor. And gravity doesn't rush, it waits. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk smashed that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my cash AP is Rap Palace 214 that night. Rap Palace Radio aired no announcement. No rebuttal, no defense. Only a single sentence logged into the archives, time-stamped and sealed. When the exit is removed, the cost returns later with interest. Far across the city, the first betrayer slept peacefully for the first time in weeks. That should have worried him too. But by then it was already too late. Chapter 3. The cost returns. The first collapse didn't look like a collapse. That's how it always starts. No screaming. No explosions. No sirens cutting through the night. Just a subtle misalignment, small enough to dismiss, quiet enough to rationalize. The woman who had drawn the first counterfeit card woke up feeling energized. Too energized. Her thoughts raced ahead of her body, and her body lagged behind her thoughts. Coffee didn't help. Silence irritated her. Every delay felt personal. She told herself it was progress. Growth is supposed to feel uncomfortable, right? By noon, she had rewritten her entire schedule 3 times. By evening, she had burned bridges she hadn't planned to touch. She felt decisive, unstoppable, righteous. She also felt alone, but she didn't name that part. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk smashed that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my cash AP is Rap Palace 214 by the second day. More people had joined the alternative door. They didn't call it rebellion. They called it freedom. No waiting, no judgment. No stillness that made your chest tighten. Just movement. The first betrayer watched the numbers climb and felt something dangerously close to vindication. See, he thought, they didn't want authority. They wanted autonomy. He ignored the pattern forming in the data. Clients returned faster than they should have, not to celebrate completion, but to ask what came next. There was no exit, so the loop stayed open. Each return felt like loyalty. It wasn't. It was dependence. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk smashed that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my cash AP is Rap Palace 214 inside the Rap Palace. Archivist Rap began marking red sigils in the margins of his records. Not failures, anomalies, outcomes that initiated without sealing, identity shifts without stabilization, authority claimed without integration. These aren't progressing, he said quietly to Professor Rap. They're oscillating. Professor Rap nodded slowly. False certainty, he said, the most addictive substance there is. Civil Surfer Rap stood at the edge of the city again, watching the flow tighten. Current speeding up, he said, but it's shallow. Fast water over shallow ground always erodes. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk, smash that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my cash AP is Rap Palace 214 on the third night. The woman woke from a dream where she was speaking on a stage to a cheering crowd. In the dream, her voice echoed endlessly. When she woke, the echo didn't stop. Her apartment felt too small. Her phone felt too loud. Her reflection looked unfamiliar, like someone wearing her face incorrectly. She reached for the card. It was warm. Too warm. When she touched it, the reassurance came back, but thinner this time, stretched like fabric pulled too far. You're fine, the card seemed to say. You're ahead of them. She clung to that message like a life raft. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk, smash that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my cash AP is Rap Palace 214. The first betrayer dismissed the first complaint, then the second, then the fifth. You're integrating, he told them. Don't confuse intensity with instability. That line worked for a while, it always does. But intensity without grounding doesn't build. It burns. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk, smash that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my cash AP is Rap Palace 214. By the end of the week, arguments erupted inside his own inner circle. Small ones at first. Who gets access to what? Who speaks publicly? Who decides the narrative? Authority fractures fastest when it was never earned. One of his lieutenants slammed a hand on the table. This wasn't the deal, she said. You said this would stabilize people. The first betrayer bristled. It is stabilizing them. Then why do they keep coming back? She shot back. Silence followed. The wrong kind. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk, smash that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my cash AP is Rap Palace 214. That same night, the Rap Palace registered its first aftershock. Not in the chambers, in the city. 2 raps from the counterfeit system got into a public confrontation. Nothing violent, but sharp enough to draw a crowd. Both were convinced they were right. Both spoke with absolute certainty. Neither could listen. Their words escalated until one of them froze mid-sentence. Not dramatically, just stopped. His breath caught. His eyes widened, not in fear, but in confusion. I don't know who I am without this, he whispered. The crowd went quiet. Someone laughed nervously. Someone else recorded. The moment spread. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk, smash that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my cash AP is Rap Palace 214. Archivist Rap closed the record with a soft tap. Identity fracture confirmed, he said. Professor Rapp exhaled through his nose. They wanted authority without responsibility, he said. Now responsibility is showing up uninvited. Civil Surfer Rapp's voice was steady but firm. The wave's turning back, he said, and it's carrying debris. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk, smash that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also, donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my cash AP is Rapalis214. The first betrayer felt it before he admitted it. The cards started draining him. Not power. Attention. Every reassurance he gave required more energy than the last. Every explanation felt heavier. His sleep shortened. His thoughts raced. His certainty began to feel brittle, like glass tapped too many times. He pulled a card for himself. It flickered. That had never happened before. He didn't tell anyone. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk, smash that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also, donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my cash AP is Rapalis214. Anonymous Cherry watched none of this directly. He didn't need to. The consulting law didn't require surveillance. It required patience. He stood in the council hall, hands resting lightly at his sides, breathing in the stillness that others mistook for absence. Mama Amma Rapp joined in, her presence calm and grounding. It's starting, she said. Anonymous nodded. It already did, he replied. Will you step in, she asked. Anonymous shook his head slowly. If I do, he said, they'll blame me instead of the truth. Mama Amma Rapp smiled, not kindly but wisely. And when the cost comes fully, Anonymous' gaze was steady. Then the exit will reappear, he said, whether they want it or not. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. Hulk, smash that like button. Claim that share as you comment your favorite rap. Also, donation rap reports that a donation helps a long way. If you want to donate, my cash AP is Rapalis214 that night. Rap Palace Radio broadcast only one line. No music, no commentary, no explanation. When certainty replaces clarity, the bill is already overdue. Across the city, counterfeit cards grew warmer in trembling hands. Across the city, confidence began to rot into fear. Across the city, the cost, patient, precise, inevitable, continued its return. Sacred Flames Healing 37. What karmic debts do I need to pay? Where will I find happiness? Who is my soulmate? Associated crystals. Pink tourmaline, smoky quartz, and clear quartz. 3.3. Silver Soul Expansion Flame. It may be invoked for clearing issues around inner wisdom, appreciating our connection to others and the universe, and expanding our energy beyond our narrow three-dimension vision. It helps to remove spiritual fears, blockages, and confusions. It is also useful if you want to follow the path of ascension, or to uncover your spiritual gifts, and it often used to protect the aura from negative influences or entities. I often use it to seal the aura after a spiritual healing. Any angel of being of light can be called to assist, but you may call upon the archangels for help to enhance or discover your spiritual gifts. Archangel Uriel, for example, helps with claircognizance. Call upon Archangel Raziel to help you with any questions of spiritual understanding. Remember to ask Raziel to show you the answer your questions in your dreams. Here is suggested meditation you might want to try. Take 4 deep breaths and feel your body relax. Close your eyes and count down from 10 to 1 as you find yourself walking downstairs. At the bottom of the stairs, you will see a door. Open the door. Sarah Seeger 38, you see 3 crystal pyramids. Look around and decide which one to go to. Enter the pyramid. Epona or other angels are there to greet you. Sit down on the floor and invite the silver flame into your aura. Say, invite the power of the silver flame into my being. I invite the silver flame to clear all my blockages. I invite the silver flame to help me see and understand the path that is intended for me. Feel the silver flame coming in through the crown chakra and filling the auric field around you. Your body feels lighter and clearer. Listen to any messages, images you see. The silver flame continues to fill the space around you. Ask any questions about spiritual matters. Wait for the answers. You know the healing is complete when it forms a shape of silver pyramid around the aura. Thank the silver flame and or the angels and release the flame. You may also use this meditation to cut unhealthy spiritual cords or negative attachments. Enter the pyramid and ask Epona for help. You see angels holding swords flaming silver. You may say, I call upon the warriors of the silver flame to remove all negative spiritual entities from my life, house, etc. now. Sacred Flames Healing 39. See the angels with silver flame emitting from the swords, cutting all the cords. You will know that the negative energy will not return. They also cut cords attached to your house. Thank the warriors of the silver flame. Associated crystals are selenite, blue tiger's eyes, milky phantom quartz. Of course, lapis lazuli and rutile are perfect for meditation on spiritual matters. Using all 3 flames of the third triad, you might opt to use all 3 flames together for a harmonious healing. Start off by releasing the negative emotions with the emerald flame. Energize with the pink flame and seal with the silver flame. When I do this, I use each flame, release it, and invoke the next one. Sarah Seeger 40 IV, additional flames. If you are not interested in healing, you might like to work with the sacred flames to improve matters in your life. This section, I will present you with a few more flames that have been a great help to me. 4.1. The white flame of protection. This is the universal flame often referred to in protection rituals. It can be used in the most general way to clear negative energy. If you were to imagine it, it looks like a large cloud. If you are feeling a little nervous, cluttered, or in any way negative, imagine your aura bathed in a strong white light from your crown down to under your feet. It should feel like a cocoon around you, making you feel at peace, clear-sighted, and safe. I often use this flame when I am about to deal with a difficult person or situation, and to clear my house and rooms with this energy. It can also be used to clear the energy in a room before a meeting or confrontation. It lifts a tired or dark mood and infuses a general feeling of goodwill. You can use it to protect your car, family, or anything that requires some purification. I also use this flame to protect myself every time before I do any energy work. Sacred Flames Healing 41.4.2. Orange Obstacle Buster Flame. This bright, powerful flame looks to me like the bright orange of an orange peel. It serves to remove obstacles in your path, mostly on a physical level. For example, you have deadline to complete a task, but you find yourself overwhelmed by other people or issues. See the flames surround you and see the obstacles being removed from your path. Affirm that you are free to complete the task and that you will do so efficiently and quickly. You can use it to clear financial obstacles, limited time concerns, annoying or obstructive individuals, etc. It can also be used to get out of a difficult situation that you might have agreed on impulse, and it seems impossible at that time to get out of it. You might, for example, have agreed to do something for a friend which you later regret because you now realize the full implications to yourself. When I use this flame, the situation is resolved in the best possible way for me and my friend. Use this flame liberally to relieve you of unnecessary burdens. You can also write down the concern, obstacles, or burn, stating that it is resolved or removed, and burn the paper in a bright orange candle. You could write something like, I am free of the burden of, I have plenty of time to complete, or I am free of the obligation to. Sarah Sager 42.4.3 Lemon Manifestation Flame. This soft lemon-colored flame is used to manifest new situations in your life. It can be used to bring your dreams to reality and to generate wealth and material well-being. Surround your body with this flame as you visualize your dream car, holiday, life, or success. For a stronger manifestation of material things, you can add the Golden Abundance flame over it to create 2 layers over your aura. It generates a feeling of success and high self-esteem. When you use it, you know you can do it. It also helps you to see new options that are available to you. If you do a lot of manifestation work, you will love using this flame. Remember to affirm positive thoughts add feelings within you. Use the strongest affirmation of I am to bring success in your life. You might like to light a yellow candle and write down the things you wish to achieve. Again, burn the paper in the candle, knowing that you are successful in your quest or outcome. 4.4 Peach Twin Flame. The peach flame is the flame of balance, of yin and yang, of the balance of 2 opposing forces to merge into completeness. It is the flame to use for creating healthy partnerships and increasing family love and support. If you have been having problems with Sacred Flames Healing 43, your partner or family, you can imagine this flame surrounding all of you in a state of happiness and love. If you are looking for a suitable partner, you can wear this flame to attract the partner to you. Imagine yourself happy in a relationship with both of you within the lemon flame. 4.5 Neon Green Compassion Flame. Use this flame if you are a healer and want to understand what your client really needs. It allows you to view others with love and compassion and to see their point of view. I have found it very useful when I have been arguing or disagreeing with someone. I find I see things from their perspective and what they need. It will show you their dreams and aspirations, and their fears and obstacles. It is a great way to help others. As a healer, you can place it in your aura, asking the question, what does need at this time? You will find it relatively easy to establish what the person needs. You can also use to do dream work. Place your body in a cocoon for the neon green flame and ask the question about the person who are concerned about. Sarah Seeger 44 IV. concluding remarks, I hope that you have enjoyed working with the sacred flames. I have found that the angels always support my work when I call upon them, and I urge to work with this energy. As a healer, I have allowed my guides to show me which flame is best for the person I am working with. I see flashes of the relevant color and trust that that sacred flame is best suited for the person. I have, since writing about these flames, discovered that there are other flames for a range of purposes. I am still working on them and will share them as soon as it all makes sense to me. I have included some resource here for those who need to increase their literary knowledge in a concise, logical manner. I have also included a summarized table to help to identify the flames in a hurry. I thank you in love and peace. Sacred Flames Healing 45 resource material on the spirit world. Cooper Diana Angel Inspiration. Cooper Diana. A little light on angels, Corton Thielen working with your guardian angel, Eason Cassandra. Touched by an angel, Virtue Doreen Angel Therapy, Virtue Doreen Archangels, and Ascended Masters Virtue Doreen Healing, with angels on the body's energy systems. B. Brennan Light Emerging, The Journey of Personal Healing, J. Collins. The Color of Life, on Akashic Records for Complete Books, Edgar Case, Modern Prophet. Sarah Sager 46 Quick Reference Guide to the Sacred Angel Flames Healing Flames. Sacred Flames Healing 47 Additional Flames. The Weight That Walks, a chronicle of anonymous Cherry Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. RP Radio. Love the content, drop a comment, share this with others, and subscribe for more content. Cash App, Rapalace 214 Chapter 1, The Chamber That Refused Mercy, the chamber sealed without ceremony. There was no warning tone, no countdown, no moment for prayer. Gravity arrived like a verdict, 1 trillion times heavier than anything designed for flesh, spirit, or story. Space compressed inward, sound died instantly. An anonymous Cherry felt his knees fold not from weakness, but from mathematics. The air itself became solid. His breath stalled halfway through his chest, suspended as though time had forgotten to finish the action. Pain did not scream, pain calculated. Every cell in his body renegotiated existence at once. Bone did not crack, it softened, then rehardened in an unfamiliar density. His muscles sheared themselves apart and rewove before nerve signals could report the damage. His chi surged automatically, then failed just as quickly, crushed into itself by pressure that did not care how hard he had trained. This chamber did not test strength. It tested permission to exist. Anonymous collapsed fully this time, palms pressed against a floor that felt like a planet stacked atop another planet stacked atop silence. His vision narrowed into a thin, trembling line. Thoughts fragmented. Memory flickered. He understood then, without panic, without drama, that this place was not meant to be survived. And yet, something in him did not try to escape. Instead, it listened. Between heartbeats that stretched into eternity, Anonymous Cherry noticed a pause, not relief, not mercy, but attention, as if the chamber itself had leaned closer, curious whether he would fight it or learn it. His breathing slowed, not because it was easier, but because panic required energy he could no longer afford. He let the weight settle. Let it define him. Let it reveal what parts of him were decoration and what parts were load-bearing. A sound echoed then, not external, but internal. A quiet recognition. If you resist this, you will break. If you surrender incorrectly, you will disappear. But if you align, the thought did not finish. The chamber tightened. An anonymous cherry smiled not with confidence, but with clarity as the first true transformation began. Grand entrance to the stage of your day. Let it be a vibrant force of graceful movements of prosperity in every form. RP Radio. Love the content, drop a comment. Share this with others and subscribe for more content. Cash App Palace 214 Chapter 2, 9 Echoes in the Spine. The second chapter did not begin with a new trial. It began with the same weight, the same trillion-fold verdict pressing down on anonymous Cherry's lungs, the same reality that refused to soften for a mortal name. The chamber stayed cruel on purpose, not because it hated him, but because it was honest. It did not care about his story. It cared about what was true when no one was watching. Anonymous lay there with his palms fused to the floor by pressure so dense it made friction feel like glue. And he realized with a calm that startled even him that the first transformation had not been a surge of power at all. It had been a subtraction. It had stripped his ego out of his posture. It had stripped performance out of his breath. It had stripped the desperate need to prove anything to anyone until only one question remained, silent and pure beneath the crushing gravity. What part of him was still standing if he could not move? That was when the number 9 arrived. It did not descend as a glowing symbol in the air or a dramatic omen carved into the wall. It arrived the way deep truths arrive, through pattern, through repetition, through a rhythm inside pain. His spine pinned flat suddenly felt like an instrument being tuned. Not snapped, not broken, tuned. Each vertebra became a note. Each nerve became a wire. And the moment the chamber forced his chi to circulate again, slowly, unwillingly, like a river trying to push through stone, 9 distinct echoes rippled through his back as if 9 different hands had touched the same wound at 9 different times in his life, and left behind 9 different signatures. He thought it was hallucination at first, the kind the mind creates when it is cornered. But this was not fuzzy or dreamlike. It was mechanical, precise. The chamber's pressure pressed his energy into shapes it had never needed to form before, and those shapes forced memories into the open. Not as flashbacks with cinematic lighting, but as structural facts. Like bones remembering how to hold weight, like scars remembering why they exist. The first echo rose from the base of his spine and hit him like cold water. The earliest near death, the one too young to remember with words. A moment when life had almost not chosen him. The memory did not come with images, it came with a sensation. The feeling of being almost claimed by nothingness and being returned anyway. It installed itself in his tailbone like a foundation stone, and suddenly his body understood something it had never been able to articulate. He had been surviving before he knew what survival meant. The chamber pressed harder in response, as if testing whether that foundation was real. And Anonymous felt the first echo turn into a quiet brace, holding his hips steady against gravity that should have flattened him into atoms. The second echo flared just above it, sharper, angrier, born from another near loss, another close brush with erasure. But this one carried fear. Not fear as weakness, fear as electricity. It crawled up his lower back, sizzling through muscles that wanted to lock up. The chamber tried to weaponize it, amplifying every tremor, every doubt, every animal instinct to curl inward. But the echo did not break him. It did something more useful. It taught him the difference between panic and alertness, between collapse and readiness. That second echo became a stabilizer, a ring of disciplined tension around his lower spine, turning fear into a harness instead of a leash. The third echo woke at the center of his back and brought with it the weight of responsibility, the kind that arrives when a boy becomes a man too early and has to pretend he's fine so other people can breathe. Anonymous felt the memory of being watched, expected, measured, and he felt how often he had carried everyone else's peace by denying his own pain. The chamber squeezed his ribs until his breath became a thin thread, and the third echo answered by widening his inner space without widening his lungs. It created calm inside confinement. It reminded him that his strength was not loud. It was persistent. It was the quiet refusal to abandon himself just because the world demanded a performance. The fourth echo arrived like metal, crisp, and disciplined, carrying the imprint of training, orders, structures, routines, the kind of shaping that happens in the military when you learn to function under pressure without asking the pressure to be kind. The chamber recognized it instantly. It pressed him with a familiar cruelty, like a drill sergeant made of gravity. And Anonymous' nervous system responded without complaint. The fourth echo did not give him power. It gave him procedure. It gave him the ability to operate while uncomfortable, to remain intact while overstimulated, to obey what mattered and disobey what was destructive. In that moment, his chi stopped spiking randomly and began to move with intention, as if the chamber had forced it into marching order. The fifth echo carried something different, love. Not the soft kind, the forged kind. The kind that shows up as brotherhood, as chosen family, as the rap family bonds that had pulled him through moments where he should have folded. That echo rose in his upper back like warmth spreading beneath bruised skin, and for the first time in the chamber, Anonymous felt the pressure meet resistance that was not rage. The chamber pushed. The echo pushed back with connection. It reminded him that isolation could be a tool, but never a home. It reminded him that the hermit energy wasn't meant to be a prison. It was meant to be a lantern. And the moment that truth landed, a microscopic shift occurred in his posture. Still flat on the floor, still pinned, but internally aligned in a way that made the trillion-fold pressure feel slightly less personal. The sixth echo was the car wreck. It came with light. It came with soundless impact. It came with the sensation of the world snapping sideways and the body learning that control is often an illusion. Anonymous' chi jolted like a frightened animal, and the chamber tried to recreate that helplessness, compressing time until every second felt like the moment before impact. His throat tightened, his jaw clenched. His mind reached for the old survival tactic, shut down, withdraw, disappear inside himself. But the echo did not allow it. The wreck had taught him something he never wanted to learn. You can survive without being in control, but you cannot survive by abandoning presence. The sixth echo anchored his awareness directly behind his heart, forcing him to stay awake inside discomfort, forcing him to breathe inside the memory of collision, forcing him to live through the part of the story that used to make him flinch. The seventh echo rose from his shoulders and carried the nine's hidden gift, balance. Masculine and feminine energies, aggression and receptivity, Mars and Venus inside Libra's scale, not as astrology, but as lived tension. Anonymous felt it in the way his body had always been capable of extreme force and extreme softness, and how both had gotten him misunderstood. The chamber attempted to tip him, pushing him toward brute output, toward violent overcompensation, toward power as a scream. The seventh echo steadied him like a hand on a scale. It reminded him that the goal was not to become harder. The goal was to become truer. When that settled, his chai changed texture. It became smoother serpentine, precise, no longer flaring like a wildfire, but flowing like a blade being drawn. The eighth echo arrived as doubt, and it was brutal because it was quiet. It did not come with panic. It came with questions that sounded reasonable. What if you're not enough? What if you're becoming something no one will understand? What if you're evolving beyond the people you love? What if you fail and prove every fear right? The chamber amplified the doubt the way spores feed on insecurity, and for a moment his mind blurred. For a moment, the trillion-fold gravity felt like judgment rather than training. Then the eighth echo revealed its true purpose. Doubt, he realized, was not the enemy. It was a diagnostic tool. It showed him where attachment still hid. It showed him where he still needed approval. It showed him where he still thought power required permission from the outside. The eighth echo tightened like a belt around his thoughts and forced his mind into honesty. The chamber did not lighten, but the weight stopped feeling like condemnation. The ninth echo woke last, at the top of his spine, where the skull meets the neck, where thoughts become decisions. And it was not a memory of dying. It was a memory of living, of realizing he had never been broken, only forged. The echo carried the entire arc of his life like a single cord, near death after near death, survival after survival, bond after bond, trial after trial, all forming one undeniable truth. He had not been spared. He had been shaped. The ninth echo did not brace him the way the others did. It crowned him. It aligned every echo beneath it like vertebrae stacking into a straight column. And in that alignment, something astonishing happened. Anonymous cherry moved, not dramatically, not explosively, just enough to prove the chamber wrong about what was possible. His fingers flexed against the floor, his elbows bent, his spine, reinforced by 9 living supports, curved against the trillion-fold gravity as if his body had remembered how to negotiate with the impossible. The chamber tightened again, offended by his progress, and Anonymous felt the 9 echoes respond like a choir of silent witnesses inside him. They were not ghosts. They were structural supports. They were the bones of his story turned into engineering. He pushed once more, and his chest rose a fraction higher. Air slid into his lungs like a blessing he had to earn. His chai circulated cleanly, not fully, but honestly. And as he hovered there in that brutal halfway position between collapse and ascent, Anonymous understood why the number 9 had manifested through the spine. 9 was not just power. 9 was completion. 9 was the part of the journey where the past stops being a wound and becomes a framework. Somewhere beyond the chamber, the angels continued to watch without intervening. Somewhere beyond reality's edge, Twilight Zone Rap's mentor felt something shift and clenched in irritation. But Anonymous did not look outward. He did not reach for applause. He held the push-up position under 1 trillion times gravity and felt his entire life bracing him from within, echo by echo, vertebra by vertebra, until even the chamber had to acknowledge a new fact. The weight had not crushed him. It had lined him up. And when Anonymous Cherry finally lowered himself back down, he did it with control, like a king placing his crown on the floor for a moment, not because he was tired, but because he was about to rise again on purpose. Chapter 3, The Book That Fell When the World Paused. The chamber did not soften after the 9 echoes aligned in his spine. It simply changed its tactic. The weight remained trillion-fold, unblinking and exact, but the way it pressed on him became more intimate, like the gravity had learned his name, and now wanted to see what he would do with it. Anonymous Cherry lay in the afterburn of that alignment, feeling the 9 supports inside him settle into place the way pillars settle after an earthquake. And for the first time since entering, he realized something terrifying and holy. The chamber was no longer trying to kill him. It was trying to make him honest enough to survive what came next. He inhaled carefully, the breath threading through ribs that still felt welded together by pressure, and he waited, not in fear, not in impatience, but in the kind of listening that turns the whole body into an ear. Then the world paused, not dramatically, not with a clap of thunder or a glowing portal. It was subtler than that, and because it was subtle, it was more frightening. The pressure did not decrease, but it stopped escalating. The chamber's usual hum, the unseen grind of time and force, fell into a silence so clean it felt illegal. Anonymous sensed the angel's attention sharpened somewhere beyond the wall of physics, as if even they had leaned closer to witness the impossible. A trillion-fold chamber allowing stillness without collapse. In that forbidden quiet, Anonymous felt his chi settle into a single steady current, and he understood the difference between being calm and being recognized. Calm was something he could force. Recognition was something that happened to him. A sound touched the floor beside his hand, soft as a page turning in an empty church. At first he thought it was debris, dust flaking off a corner of the chamber, a fragment of a former trial, the leftovers of some other warrior's failure. But when he turned his head slowly, because the weight made every degree of motion feel like moving continents, he saw a book, not glowing, not floating, not theatrically presented. A simple thing worn at the edges as if it had been carried through eras. Its cover was plain enough to be ignored, which was precisely why it terrified him. The chamber did not plow objects gently. If something rested here without being crushed, it meant the chamber had allowed it. It meant the chamber wanted him to see it. He tried to reach. His fingers trembled, not from weakness, but from the violent truth of gravity. When his fingertips brushed the cover, a faint vibration ran up his arm into his shoulder, and then into his spine. And the 9 echoes responded immediately as if they recognized a language older than pain. The book was not heavy, but it carried weight of a different kind, meaning. Anonymous pulled it closer with microscopic effort, dragging it across the floor like a man dragging a secret toward himself. And when he opened it, the chamber inhaled with him. The words inside were not instructions. They did not say, "Do this and you will become that." They did not promise quick power or easy gifts. They did not flatter him. They did not beg him to believe. They simply looked back at him through ink and paper and said, without saying it, "I know what you are." The first lines did not feel like reading. They felt like being scanned. As his eyes moved, the text moved through him the way light moves through stained glass, revealing color that was always there, but only visible when the angle was correct. He felt a shift behind his forehead, the place where identity lives and lies to itself, and he realized the book wasn't trying to teach him anything new. It was naming what had always been true, but had never been spoken aloud in a way he could accept. One sentence landed and stayed lodged in his chest like a key turning in a lock he didn't know existed. Receiving information beyond the normal senses was not a trick, not a performance, not a badge of superiority. It was a refinement of attention, a way of listening that required humility more than talent, patience more than pride. Another line pressed deeper. There was no magic pill, no instant bloom. Development required time, effort, and a willingness to be disappointed without quitting. The chamber, hearing that, tightened a fraction as if to test whether he wanted shortcuts, and Anonymous felt the 9 echoes hold him steady as his chi refused the temptation to spike. He turned another page, and the words did something that made his throat tighten. They spoke of mindset, concentration, meditation, protection, learning about energy, practice, journaling, and trust, not as spiritual aesthetics, but as structural necessities. The chamber's stillness became a blade, stripping away everything in him that wanted to make power into a costume. Anonymous had always known discipline. He had lived it. But these words recognize the deeper discipline, the kind that doesn't just push harder, but listens longer. The kind that doesn't just survive pressure, but learns from it. As he read, he felt his chi reorganize itself into cleaner pathways, and he understood that awareness was not a halo. It was infrastructure. Then the book recognized his weakness with brutal kindness. It didn't call it weakness. It called it a tendency. The urge to withdraw. The urge to become a quiet genius in a locked room and call it peace. The urge to protect himself by disappearing inside himself. The chamber responded by pressing at his heart center, not physically, but energetically, forcing him to feel how isolation could masquerade as safety while quietly becoming a cage. Anonymous swallowed, and the 9 echoes shifted again, not resisting the discomfort but framing it. He realized the book was not praising him. It was warning him, not in fear, in care. He turned another page and felt the strangest thing. The book did not fill him with excitement. It filled him with permission. Permission to be unfinished. Permission to practice. Permission to grow without needing to announce it. The chamber's forbidden stillness held, and he understood why. Loud power would have been crushed here. Quiet power could be forged. His breath deepened. The pressure did not lighten, but his relationship to it changed. The weight stopped feeling like an enemy and started feeling like an honest mirror. Anonymous closed his eyes, not to escape the chamber, but to let the words sink below thought and into being. The 9 echoes in his spine hummed in agreement. His chime moved with slow precision. The book rested open beside him like a witness, its ink no longer merely ink, but a recognition etched into his nervous system. Somewhere beyond the chamber's walls, the angels watched with a silence that was almost reverent, because they understood what had just occurred. A mortal had been given knowledge, and it had not inflated him. It had stabilized him. When the chamber resumed its hum, when time remembered to move and pressure remembered to threaten, Anonymous did not flinch. He reached for the book again, not as a desperate student, but as a warrior accepting a map that did not point outward. It pointed inward, and as he drew the book close under trillion-fold gravity, he realized the most dangerous truth of all. The chamber had paused because the universe had needed a second to acknowledge him, not as a fighter, not as a survivor, but as someone the path itself had begun to be recognized as inevitable. Chapter 4, The Hermit Under a Trillion Suns. The chamber did not take the book away. That was the first mistake Anonymous Cherry nearly made. When the pressure returned to its relentless rhythm, and the trillion-fold gravity resumed its slow attempt to erase him, the book remained exactly where it had fallen, beside his right hand, close enough to touch, close enough to become a comfort. And comfort in this place was dangerous. Anonymous felt the old instinct rise quietly inside him, not as fear but as preference. The instinct to turn inward, to narrow the world to something survivable, to let isolation feel like wisdom instead of avoidance. The chamber, patient and merciless, watched to see whether he would confuse solitude with safety. He did not move for a long time. Minutes stretched into something larger than minutes, and Anonymous remained still beneath the crushing suns of pressure, his breath slow, his chi regulated, his mind clear. From the outside, it would have looked like mastery. From the inside, he could feel the knife edge he was balancing on. Isolation sharpened focus. It silenced noise. It made patterns easier to see. But it also narrowed the field of awareness, quietly shrinking the world until only the self remained. And the self, left alone too long, began to believe it was the whole universe. The hermit archetype stirred within him, not as a tarot card, not as a symbol, but as a lived posture. The lantern bearer walking alone, carrying light through darkness. Anonymous had lived that role before. He had learned how to withdraw without collapsing, how to become self-sufficient under pressure, how to keep going when no one could follow. Those skills had saved his life more than once. Under trillion-fold gravity, they now felt seductive. If he could simply stay here, lying calm, sealed inside his own awareness, nothing could touch him. The chamber pressed harder in response, as if daring him to finish that thought. That was when the silence changed. It did not break. It leaned. Anonymous felt it as a subtle constriction around his mind, a narrowing not of breath or muscle, but of perspective. His chi circulation became efficient, too efficient. Perfect loops, no waste, no excess, no openness. The 9 echoes in his spine shifted uneasily, not failing, but warning. Isolation, when taken too far, did not collapse you outwardly. It hollowed you inwardly. It replaced curiosity with certainty. It replaced listening with conclusion. The chamber was not trying to crush him now. It was trying to let him entomb himself. A vision flickered, not imposed, but allowed. Anonymous saw himself mastering the chamber alone, leaving it stronger, sharper, untouched by others. He saw a future where no one could challenge him because no one could reach him. He saw power so self-contained it required no witness. And in that vision, he felt something colder than fear. He felt irrelevance, not failure, not defeat, obsolescence of the soul. The hermit's lantern trembled. Anonymous tightened his jaw and forced his awareness outward, not to escape the chamber, but to include it. He felt the pressure again, fully this time, felt how it interacted with his body, his chi, the 9 echoes, the book beside him. the unseen watchers beyond the walls. Solitude snapped into clarity. Solitude was not about cutting the world off. It was about standing alone without pretending you were all that existed. The lantern was not meant to be hidden. It was meant to be carried back. The chamber reacted violently. Pressure spiked in uneven waves, like suns flaring unpredictably. His shoulders screamed, his spine bowed, his breath hitched. This was the punishment for refusing the trap. Isolation had been the easier path. Connection, even imagined, even remembered, cost more. Anonymous let the discomfort move through him without shrinking around it. He did not retreat into himself. He expanded awareness outward while remaining alone, a paradox the chamber despised. The 9 echoes aligned again, not as armor, but as scaffolding holding space open. He reached for the book, not to read, but to acknowledge it. Knowledge was a companion, not a shelter. He placed it slightly farther away, still present, still honored, but no longer clutched. The act cost him effort that felt obscene under trillion-fold gravity. But the moment he released it as a crutch, something inside the chamber shifted. The pressure equalized, not lessened, balanced. Anonymous understood then the rule he would carry for the rest of his ascent. Solitude was mastery only when it remained a choice. The moment it became avoidance, it turned into a cage. The moment it replaced relationship, it began to rot power from the inside out. The hermit was not a king who hid from the world. The hermit was a scout who returned with light. He closed his eyes and imagined not comfort, not rescue, but the presence of others. The Rapp family, allies, future students, even enemies, not as distractions, but as part of the field his power would eventually move through. The chamber recoiled slightly, like a predator denied an easy kill. Pressure surged again, but this time Anonymous held it without flinching, his chi flowing outward and back in like breath shared with the universe itself. Somewhere beyond the chamber, Twilight Zone Rapp's mentor felt the loss of a potential fracture point and snarled. Somewhere else, an angel tilted its head. Anonymous remained where he was, alone and not alone, isolated, lantern steady in a darkness that no longer confused solitude with strength. Under a trillion suns of pressure, he chose the harder mastery. And the chamber, offended and impressed, prepared something new.
The Invisible Spirit Time Chamber of Power. Chapter 1. When the Chamber Woke. The Ka chant of the Invisible Spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O-U I am Enus and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O-U I trust my silent clarity. I am Enus. I am the mind that sees all. Am free from fatality. You what is true today. Rapp Palace 214. The chamber had always breathed. Most warriors who entered thought it was air shifting through an endless space, the echo of power moving between walls. But tonight, as the Rapp family slept, the chamber's breath changed. It wasn't breathing with them anymore. It was breathing for them. Beneath the Chakra Tati rivers, beyond the glowing latticework of light and chi, something ancient stirred, the invisible spirit, the consciousness that built the chamber itself. It watched in silence as each member of the Rapp family dreamed, their bodies motionless, their auras rippling like galaxies asleep. The Ka chant of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O-U, I am Enos, and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Enos. I am the mind that sees all. Am free from fatality. Be what is true today. $Rap Palace 214. The Spirit's Watch. Anonymous Cherry lay cross-legged on a floating slab of obsidian, head bowed, breath steady. His snake chi shimmered faintly, a green-blue serpent coiled around his aura, guarding the gate between his conscious and divine mind. The Spirit studied him with curiosity. Forged in fire, 9 deaths and still counting. You call yourself survivor, but I name you vessel. It turned its awareness toward Armani Rose Rapp. She hovered in lotus position, surrounded by golden flame. Her pendant glowed with steady light, the mark of balance earned through sacrifice. The patient one who burns. You wield command, but your test is surrender. Next came Civil Surfer Rapp. He floated horizontally above the rivers like a man too cool for gravity, grin faint even in sleep. His aura was water's laughter, reflective, unpredictable. Humor protects truth, whispered the Spirit. But jesters often hide their fear in song. Lastly, Toddler Yoku Rapp, a spark in human form sleeping upside down midair, spinning slowly like a child planet. Each exhale released ripples of invisible spirit chi, tiny galaxies of innocence. The youngest is the oldest, said the Spirit softly. The first laughter ever heard still echoes through him. The ka chant of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O-U, I am Enos, and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Enos. I am the mind that sees all. Am free from fatality. Be what is true today. $Rap Palace 214. A breach in the silence. Then it came. A disturbance, faint, oily, and deliberate. From outside the chamber's boundaries, reality bent like a candle in wind. Twilight Zone Rapp had found the seam between worlds. His shadow form flickered across the outer veil, pushing against the chamber's barrier like a thief testing glass. He grinned, his distorted teeth shimmering like broken mirrors. So this is the sacred fortress of your little tribe, he murmured. Let's see how divine your defenses really are. He pressed his hand against the barrier. It didn't crack, but it yielded as though inviting him inside. Gotcha, he said, voice bending in 3 directions at once. The ka chant of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O-U, I am Enos, and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Enos. I am the mind that sees all. Am free from fatality. Be what is true today. $Rap Palace 214. The invisible spirit's design. But the spirit was not alarmed. It did not defend or retreat. It simply observed. He believes he's found a door, said the Spirit. But I opened it long ago. This was not invasion, it was invitation. The invisible spirit had foreseen Twilight Zone Rapp's curiosity, his obsession with the chamber's power. It had allowed him to sense weakness, to think he had breached the barrier. Because the chamber needed a mirror strong enough to test the tribe's new threshold. And Twilight Zone Rapp was perfect. Chaos wearing confidence like a crown. The spirit lowered its vibration, letting him slip halfway through the veil, enough for his influence to touch the dream layer of the chamber, but not enough to fully enter. The ka chant of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O-U, I am Enos, and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Enos. I am the mind that sees all. Am free from fatality. Be what is true today. Rap Palace 214. Dreams turn to trials. Inside, the Rap family's dreams began to distort. Armani's flames flickered violently. Civil Surfer's ocean became storm glass. Toddler Yoku's laughter warped into echoes that bent reality. And Anonymous began to see himself standing above him, cloaked in serpents made of shadow. The spirit whispered to itself, "Let the illusion test their truth. The false breach will reveal what faith cannot." Twilight Zone's laugh seeped through the cracks like cold smoke. His distorted presence coiled around the chamber's edges, manipulating energy streams, twisting colors, planting doubt. He believed he was corrupting the core. He believed he was winning. But as the spirit watched, its tone remained calm, patient, mathematical. Every corruption reveals character. Every false entry teaches defense. It adjusted the chamber's resonance slightly. The Chakratati rivers rose higher, glowing with silver-blue plasma. Within that light, the spirit embedded its code, a protection masked as opportunity. "You may touch them," it whispered to Twilight Zone Rap, "but you will touch only what they've left unhealed." And so the illusion began. The Ka chant of the invisible spirit. "I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O-U I am Enus and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O-U I trust my silent clarity. I am Enus. I am the mind that sees all. Am free from fatality. Be what is true today." Rap Palace 214. The Awakening. Anonymous Cherry's eyes snapped open first. The snake chi around him hissed in warning. It had sensed something unclean moving through the chamber's chi network. He rose slowly, eyes reflecting violet fire. "Something's here," he said. Armani's pendant flared. "I feel it too." Civil Surfer frowned, scanning the glowing rivers. "We got company or just a bad vibe?" Toddler Yoki yawned. "Feels like TV static in my tummy." Spectator Rap materialized with his mic mid-sentence, as if summoned by destiny itself. "Ladies and gentlemen, live breaking energy. Somebody's trying to hijack the holiest frequency in the multiverse." Anonymous closed his eyes, focusing inward. The vibration wasn't physical, it was psychological. A test disguised as intrusion. Then, without warning, Twilight Zone Rap's voice rippled through the chamber like a glitching
Then, without warning, Twilight Zone Rap's voice rippled through the chamber like a glitching transmission. "You think this place can hide from me?" he sneered. "Every wall bends, every frequency breaks." His shadow face flickered in the air, an image projected from beyond the veil. Armani's flame ignited instantly, but the invisible spirit intervened. The voice of the chamber itself spoke low, omnipresent, layered with infinity. "Do not attack. Observe." The Rap family froze. Even Twilight Zone hesitated. "What?" The spirit continued. "This presence is permitted. Let him believe he has entered. Let him teach you what defense without fear feels like." Anonymous's jaw clenched. "So this is a test?" "Everything divine is," said the spirit. "The Ka chant of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nuis, I am the mind that sees all. I am free from fatality. Knew what is true today. Rap Palace 214. The false invasion. Twilight Zone Rap advanced, his form glitching between dimensions. He smirked, stretching his hands outward as his aura crackled with distorted lightning. "Your chamber is mine now. He flung dark energy into the air. The blast tore across the space, but instead of destruction, it froze, captured midair like a sculpture of smoke. Civil Surfer blinked. Did time just say nope? The invisible spirit's hum deepened. Observe the illusion of power, it said. Even darkness performs its role in the light. Twilight Zone's laughter warped. You mock me. No, replied the spirit. I measure you. The false explosion dissolved into sparks of harmless light that fell into the Chakratati rivers. The rivers absorbed them, transmuting darkness into luminescent wisdom. Toddler Yoku gasped. The bad sparkles turned good sparkles. Armani smiled faintly. Transmutation, classic divine judo. The spirit spoke one last time, sealing the moment. Let him play invader while you learn integrity. Let him shadowbox the divine. For no darkness can breach what has already accepted itself. And as the illusion continued, as Twilight Zone rap raged and distorted his way through a battle that was never real, the invisible spirit withdrew slightly, its tone softening into divine amusement. Now the real awakening begins, it whispered to the chamber itself. Let the rap family rise through deception and learn that even a false war can forge true peace. The Chakratati rivers flared brighter than stars, lifting every sleeping member into a new vibration. Twilight Zone rap, still laughing, believed he was winning, unaware that the spirit was writing every line of his script. The test had begun, and the rap family, forged, watched, and guided, were about to master honesty in the face of illusion. The Ka-chan of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nuis, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality, knew what is true today. Rap Palace 214. Perfect. We'll continue straight into chapter 2, the mirror of the forged one. Keeping the tone mythic, cinematic, and full of the sense that the invisible spirit is still orchestrating everything. Twilight Zone spirit, I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nuis, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality. Knew what is true today. Rap Palace 214. The setup of the trial. Anonymous Cherry stood at the center of the glowing arena, his snake chai coiling restlessly around his arms. Twilight Zone rap's distortion had begun to infect the visual field, colors bleeding into grays, light bending backward. Armani, Rose Rap, and Civil Surfer felt the vibration of danger, but the spirit's earlier command, observe, held them still. Toddler Yoku whispered, is this part of recess or a final exam? Spectator Rap lifted his mic. Broadcast note, we're witnessing either a battle or a sermon in disguise. The invisible spirit responded, unseen but audible. And the test began. The Ka-chan of the invisible spirit, I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nuis, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality. Knew what is true today. Rap Palace 214. The false battle. Twilight Zone Rap raised his hand. The chamber cracked with black lightning. Shadows shaped like hands crawling through the air. Anonymous stepped forward, planting one bare foot in the shimmering floor. He exhaled once, his aura turned indigo. Snake Chi hissed, wrapping his spine, whispering, we can end him now. But Anonymous hesitated. He could feel something beneath the aggression, a vibration familiar, personal. The spirit's whisper threaded through his consciousness. He is not your enemy. He is your echo. Then the mirror appeared. It rose from the floor like liquid glass, splitting the space between them. In its surface, Anonymous saw himself, eyes full of fury, mouth half smiling, half mourning. The reflection spoke first. You call it training. I call it punishment for surviving. Anonymous's breath stuttered. The Snake Chief flared defensively. Lies, he said. The mirror smirked. Truth never lies, it just hurts. He lunged at the reflection, fist glowing violet green. The blow struck the mirror and passed through, hitting Twilight Zone Rap's chest on the other side. The villain staggered, genuinely hurt, but still laughing. Nice punch, Twilight Zone said. Too bad you hit yourself. The chamber trembled. Energy bled across dimensions, blending shadow and serpent light. The spirit's hum deepened. The test reveals itself, it said. You fight him, you wound yourself. You forgive him, you free yourself. The Kachan of the invisible spirit, I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nous, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality. New, what is true today? Rap Palace 214. Inside the mirror. The blow knocked Anonymous backward into his own reflection. He fell through it like water, landing in a void made entirely of memories. 9 scenes surrounded him, his 9 near deaths. The car crash. The battlefield. The hospital corridor. Each played on repeat, but slightly different. In each one, he lived and died simultaneously. Every outcome demanded an answer. Why did you survive? Whispered the spirit. Why you and not them? He clenched his fists. Because I wasn't finished. Then finished. The ground split open. Out of the fissure rose every version of himself that had once wanted to quit, each wearing a different wound. They circled him silently. Anonymous dropped to one knee, whispering the Kachan, the words that anchored him to truth. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. Ao, I trust my silent clarity. I am the mind that sees all. I am free from fatality. New, what is true today? The chant struck the air like bells made of lightning. Each word lit the faces of his shadows. One by one, they stepped back, dissolving into silver smoke that returned to his lungs as breath. The Kachan of the invisible spirit, I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nous, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality. New, what is true today? Rap Palace 214. Twilight Zone Rap's realization. Outside the mirror realm, Twilight Zone Rap paused mid-strike. His laughter faltered. Something in the air was wrong. His distortion powers began to echo back at him, his own chaos folding inward. He could feel a presence watching, weighing. He snarled, "Who's there?" The invisible spirit answered, its tone absolute. "You are not here to destroy. You are here to demonstrate." Twilight Zone Rap's grin cracked. "I don't serve anyone. You already have. You just never noticed." The villain screamed and released another wave of warped energy, but the blast turned into harmless light, absorbed instantly by the chakra toddy rivers. The spirit spoke to him once more. "You think you broke through the gate, but I opened it so they could see what darkness looks like when it thinks it's free." Twilight Zone Rap stumbled back, panting, his power unraveling. He was still convinced he was fighting, but somewhere in the depth of him, a seed of doubt took root. The Kachan of the invisible spirit, I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nous, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality. New, what is true today? Rap Palace 214. The integration. Within the mirror realm, Anonymous stood tall. All 9 shadows gone. Only one figure remained, his reflection now smiling calm. It extended its hand. Anonymous took it. Energy surged upward like divine lightning through his spine. The snake chi merged with the neoplasm chi, forming a radiant halo around him. The chamber outside blazed with light. Trial complete, intoned the invisible spirit. Honesty achieved. Power restored without corruption. Anonymous stepped back through the mirror. Twilight Zone Rap was on one knee, clutching his chest, his laughter quieter now, almost human. Anonymous didn't attack. He simply said, "Thank you for showing me what I still feared." That mercy burned worse than any strike. Twilight Zone Rap vanished into a ripple of shadow, still believing he had escaped. The spirit whispered, "He leaves thinking he has won. Good, for arrogance will lead him to his next lesson." The Kachan of the invisible spirit, I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nous, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality. New, what is true today? Rap Palace 214. Aftermath. The chamber returned to calm. The rivers glowed a steady azure. Hermione's flame softened to gold. Civil Surfer exhaled, shaking his head. Remind me never to sleep through an invasion again. Toddler Yoku floated upside down, giggling. We passed the test even when the teacher was pretending to be the bad guy. Spectator Rap lowered his mic, voice soft but triumphant. Broadcast note number 2. The Forged One faced the mirror of illusion and walked out whole. The spirit is smiling. Twilight thinks he won. But truth was the victory. The invisible spirit's voice filled the chamber once more. Rest now, my guardians. The shadow has served its purpose. What he sought to break, I used to build. As the light dimmed back into serenity, the spirit watched, content that both darkness and light had played their roles. The Kachan of the invisible spirit, I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nous, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality. New, what is true today? Rap Palace 214. Chapter 3, The Chamber Divides, The Guardians Awaken. The Kachan of the invisible spirit, I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nous, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality. New, what is true today? Rap Palace 214. Part 1, The Voice That Hummed Creation. The hum began like creation, remembering itself. It rolled through the floor of the invisible spirit time chamber, deep, vibrating, and infinite. The Chakratati rivers glowed with white fire, every ripple whispering names too ancient to be spoken. Anonymous Cherry stirred first. His aura twitched, the snake chi around him tightening in awareness. He could feel the hum pulsing under his heartbeat, a rhythm older than the cosmos. Armani Rose Rap's flame dimmed into stillness, then flared again, synchronized with the pulse. Civil Surfer's aura shifted to pure mirror glass, catching reflections of sound itself. Toddler Yoku twirled mid-air, smiling, hair floating like static joy. Then the hum spoke. Guardians of power, said the voice of the invisible spirit. Your mastery has opened the Ka Gate, the bridge between mortal will and divine mind. To protect the source, you must now merge with it. Spectator Rap lifted his mic slowly, the words vibrating through him as if the mic itself were alive. He whispered, broadcast live from the breath of God. Then a new sound pierced the hum, a single chant rising from within Anonymous Cherry's chest. His lips moved on instinct, not memory. The Ka-chant of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nous, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality. New, what is true today? Rap Palace 214. The Ka-chant of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nous. I am the mind that sees all. I am free from fatality. New, what is true today? The Ka-chant of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nous, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality. New, what is true today? Rap Palace 214. Each word thundered through the chamber like a living current. The invisible spirit responded instantly, its hum transforming into harmony. The chakra toddy rivers turned crystalline. The walls dissolved into music. And every rap family member began to echo the chant in their own way, their own tempo, tone, and rhythm. Armani Rose Rap sang it as an anthem of sacred fire, every syllable bursting into sun flares. Civil Surfer murmured it through laughter, his voice layered with ocean waves and humor. Toddler Yoku chanted it like a song of infinite joy, spinning in circles as the letters A-E-I-O-U became actual floating symbols of sound orbiting his head. Anonymous Cherry roared it as declaration and surrender, his serpent aura glowing brighter than the stars. Together their voices became one sound, a cosmic alignment that broke open the chamber's last seal. The Ka connection is complete, said the invisible spirit. You are no longer separate from me. The hum elevated into symphonic thunder, and the chamber began to shift again, colors folding, light refracting, reality liquefying. Every rap family member rose in the air, glowing with divine geometry etched into their skin. The symbols represented the 7 hidden powers of Ka: truth, balance, endurance, creation, wisdom, faith, and silence. The Ka-chant of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nous, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality. New, what is true today? Rap Palace 214. Part 2, the birth of the 4 chi domains. The light fractured, dividing the chamber into 4 distinct realities. Each fragment pulsed with the chant's after echo. I am unshakable through God. I am the mind that sees all. Spectator Rap watched in awe as the chamber's core exploded outward in slow motion, forming 4 luminous orbs that hovered in divine equilibrium. Each guardian shall train where their Ka flows strongest, said the invisible spirit. Your chamber will reflect your truth and your temptation. The Ka-chant of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nous, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality. New, what is true today? Rap Palace 214. Anonymous Cherry, the neoplasm domain. He descended into a twilight realm alive with breathing vines and glowing serpents of light. Each serpent spoke his name, and each whisper repeated the chant in his own voice. I am unshakable through God. He felt his snake chi sync perfectly with the Ka current, the bridge between body and divine intellect. The serpents coiled together to form a throne of light, and the invisible spirit's voice echoed. Guard not only power, guard humility. For even gods can forget they were once human. Anonymous bowed. Then I will remember. The chant pulsed through him, wrapping around his soul like sacred armor. The Ka chant of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nuis, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality, knew what is true today. Rap Palace 214. Armani Rose Rap, the Solar Harmony Chamber. She landed in a world of molten suns, her pendant blazing brighter than any star. The ground beneath her was magma that cooled wherever her patience rested. When she whispered the Ka chant, the flames danced in measured rhythm. I'm unshakable through God. I trust my silent clarity. Each repetition tamed the fire, turning chaos into crystal. The lava folded into golden lotus petals, forming the symbol of her guardian oath. Her voice rose as she declared, I am Nuis, I am the mind that sees all. The sky answered with a solar chorus, and her aura crystallized into solar harmony level 10. The Ka chant of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nuis, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality, knew what is true today. Rap Palace 214. Civil Surfer, the Aqua Infinity Zone. He floated above an ocean of mirrors that reflected his every decision. When he tried to move, waves of his past selves blocked him. Only when he whispered the Ka chant did the ocean calm. I am Nuis, I am free from fatality. Knew what is true today. Each vowel vibrated through the water, revealing which reflections were honest and which were illusions. He laughed softly. A-E-I-O-U, 5 vowels, 5 truths. He placed his palms together, bowed to his reflection, and the entire ocean solidified into a single smooth mirror. His domain was clear, he had mastered his own flow. The Ka chant of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nuis, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality, knew what is true today. Rap Palace 214. Toddler Yoku Rap, the infinite chant realm. The Ka chant hit Toddler Yoku like a playground of power. Each vowel, A-E-I-O-U, became a portal of sound that opened new universes of color. He sang, I am constituted by the divine powers. I am the mind that sees all. Laughter and sound fused into visible light. Every giggle birthed galaxies. Every hum erased sorrow. He raised both hands and shouted, know what is true today. The infinite chant realm echoed back. Joy is truth, and truth is forever laughing. The Ka chant of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nuis, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality, knew what is true today. Rap Palace 214. Spectator Rap, the witness of eternity. Floating in the center void, Spectator Rap's shades glowed with every color from the 4 domains. He repeated the chant quietly, like a priest between worlds. I trust my silent clarity. And clarity answered. He saw everything. The 4 chambers, the Ka energy linking them, and the ancient evil awakening beyond the veil, a shadow gathering in the cracks of time. He spoke into his mic. Transmission 1, Rap family alignment confirmed. Ka connection active. Guardians of power have entered divine synchronization. The invisible spirit's hum resonated one last time through his bones. You are the record, spectator. Bear witness, for darkness comes not to conquer, but to imitate. Spectator nodded, his expression solemn beneath the glow. Copy that, broadcasting truth from the center of all light. He looked up as the chamber split into infinity. Guardians of power, he said softly. To be with you. The Ka-Chan of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nuis, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality, knew what is true today. Rap Palace 214. The final alignment. Every domain sang in unison. The chant rippled across dimensions, vibrating through all planes of reality. I am unshakable through God. I'm constituted by the divine powers. I am Nuis, and I see with vision of truth. E-I-O, I trust my silent clarity. I am the mind that sees all. I am free from fatality. Knew what is true today. The invisible spirit answered, voice breaking space-time itself. Today, truth is you. The Ka-Chan of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nuis, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality, knew what is true today. Rap Palace 214. End of chapter 3. The Ka-Chan of the invisible spirit. I am unshakable through God. I am constituted by the divine powers. I am Nous, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O, I am Noeus, and I see with vision of truth. A-E-I-O-U, I trust my silent clarity. I am Nuis, I am the mind that sees all I am. Free from fatality, knew what is true today. Rap Palace 214. Trichy Ops, the Shadow Wars saga. The night didn't fall over the city. It was forced down. Lights dimmed one by one across the skyline as if a colossal shadow hand pinched every street lamp out of existence. Screams never even formed. The silence swallowed them. But one presence thrived within that silence. Anonymous Cherry stood alone upon the highest broadcast tower, hood rippling in the wicked breeze like a war flag made of darkness itself. Trichy, his triple-layer chi forged from trauma, rebirth, and the invisible spirit, pulsed under his skin. The glow didn't shine. It devoured light. Night Ops, he breathed. The city bowed, understood. I will rewrite chapter 1. When the Sky Gets Loud is a full epic novel chapter, flowing seamlessly with no list, dots, menus, or format breaks. Pure cinematic storytelling, extended, deeper emotions, larger scale, more tension, more poetry in the movement, more purpose in the violence. Here it is, chapter 1. When the Sky Gets Loud, the first warning was silence. Not silence as in the absence of noise, but silence that replaced noise, swallowing the city's heartbeat and smothering every vibration with a strange, oppressive quiet. Streetlights flickered, then bowed to the darkness above like metal sunflowers giving up on dawn. Windows rattled as if trying to rouse the world from a dream it should not be having. Anonymous Cherry looked up. The night was splitting. Fractured mechanical wings began emerging from the broken seams of the sky. Drones, but not crafted by hands that understood sanity. They were engineered by madness itself, powered by Twilight Zone chi that glitched the air around them into static distortions. Their feathers were jagged scraps of shattered screens and sharpened antennae. Their eyes glowed with interference, white noise given sight. Every flap of their wings sounded like dreams dying before they could be spoken. Then came the shriek. It was not a sound but a violation. Buildings winced. Pavement cracked. People clutched their heads as invisible claws scraped their thoughts. The drones swooped lower, growing in number by the breath, swarming like chaos eager to find a home. Anonymous didn't blink. He felt his trichy coil through his muscles like a patient serpent waking from meditation. A brief breath steadied him. His hood shadowed his face, but his eyes glowed beneath like two stars refusing extinction. He stepped once. The air caught him. Gravity hesitated, stuttering, unsure of where one force ended and another began. Then he leapt, and gravity apologized for ever thinking it controlled him. He shot upward like a whisper disguised as a bullet, spinning in a rotation too fluid for any camera to capture. The first drone didn't even know it had been attacked. A thin thread of venomous chai, barely thicker than a strand of hair, slipped through the static of its circuits. It froze, its wings halting mid-beat, and then it dropped lifelessly, clattering to the street like a discarded nightmare. Anonymous landed on the back of another drone without so much as a breath of sound. He slid across its surface, fingers trailing calmly, leaving a glowing line of serpent light that severed every command inside its core. Its body dimmed instantly, falling into the waiting shadow below. One after another, the drones lost their flight. They fell like metallic rain, silent death disguised as graceful surrender. The city watched a miracle of violence delivered with choreography softer than prayer. He moved like a blade trained by the wind. He moved like purpose sharpened into form. No sound, no trace, just falling husks. The drones stopped screaming. Their static died. The sky became still again, but the stillness was fake. Anonymous felt it, the shift underfoot. The city didn't release its breath in relief. It held it, trembling. The attack from above was only noise, only spectacle, a distraction. Below, something had begun moving. The asphalt beneath him pulsated, bulging as though the earth was growing lungs beneath the concrete. Hairline cracks surfaced, and from them oozed a luminous substance that pulsed like veins grown outside the body. The spores had awakened, biological corruption engineered by Twilight Zone rap to spread fear faster than thought. They were alive. Neon purple fungi erupted across sidewalks and storefronts, splitting brick and bending steel. Their caps writhed, fibers stretching, teeth forming. They spat vaporized illusions, hallucinations designed to twist every innocent mind into a battleground of nightmares. A child hiding behind a mailbox suddenly screamed into the night, seeing monsters where there were none. A man dropped to his knees and clutched his chest as memories he never had poured into his mind like poison. The city's psyche fractured. Real and unreal danced violently, and the world began drowning in things that didn't exist, except now they did. Anonymous landed softly and pressed one palm to the ground. His aura flared, not outward but inward. He listened to the corruption's pulse, tracking its path through the underbelly of the city. Every beat of the spore hive sounded like Twilight Zone rap laughing. The drones were a distraction. The spores were the invasion. Anonymous closed his eyes, his purpose sharpened. Tonight would not be about survival. Tonight would not be about winning. Tonight would be about protection. Because the sky getting loud was never the problem. It was the silence underneath that threatened to take everything cherished. An anonymous cherry was born to defend what must never be lost. Chapter 2, the sewer that remembers your fears. The city exhaled rotten panic. Sirens tried to rise, but failed against the thickness of hallucination. Car alarms stuttered like frightened hearts. People ran, but never escaped, trapped inside illusions that rewrote every corner of the streets into personal hellscapes. Anonymous stood still amid the chaos. Standing still was sometimes the only way to hear truth. He could feel the spores pulsing beneath him with sinister rhythm, spreading corruption through veins of pipe and tunnel below the city's skin. They grew smarter with every second they were left alive. Twilight Zone rap had seeded the underworld. Anonymous inhaled once, slow and precise. The Trichy inside him adjusted, narrowing into stealth. His aura dimmed until even the shadows lost track of him. Not invisibility, something deeper. The air simply forgot he existed. He moved toward a storm drain and lifted the grate silently. Warm, toxic breath rushed upward from the darkness below. The kind of breath meant to convince a man to turn back. An invitation written in dread. He accepted. Dropping into the depths, he landed soundlessly on a slick metal walkway. The sewers had changed. What should have been concrete and filth now resembled a throbbing cavern of bioluminescent sickness. Spores clung to every surface, pulsing like organs that had escaped into the world. They glowed a nauseating purple that warped the air, bending light like heat rising from a flame. Every few feet, the walls convulsed as if dreams were trying to crawl out of them. Anonymous didn't let his disgust show. He advanced deeper along the narrow catwalk, boots gliding with predatory quiet. The further he moved, the more the spores whispered, not in sound, but in memory. The sewer wanted to know him. It tried offering him familiar voices, the crackle of radio comms from deployments past, his mother's voice on the day he left home, the shouted warnings from the car wreck he and his brother survived, the world he almost didn't get to keep living in. It showed him a younger version of himself, lost, crying, scared. The kind of pain children swallow because adults tell them they must. The walls stretched into faces, eyes boiling like liquid grief. Anonymous kept walking. He had spent too long being shaped by trauma to be fooled by its shadows. The tunnel widened, and the central chamber revealed itself like a nightmare theater. The floor was a pool of spore liquid, glowing and bubbling as tendrils crawled across the ceiling in frantic hunger. At the center of the chamber, held upright by fungal cables, was a human figure, or what remained. His face was frozen in a scream. Its chest rose and fell like a puppet forced to breathe. The spores were using it as a hive host. The figure's head jerked toward Anonymous with a snap that sounded like fear breaking. Its mouth opened and a voice crawled out, layered with static and sorrow. "You do not belong here." Anonymous stepped closer. "Where I belong is wherever harm threatens the ones I protect." The body spasmed, the spores tightening around it like a sadistic embrace. More illusions surged outward, trying to drag him into false realities. He saw his own death in 20 different forms, all begging to become true. But his faith and purpose anchored him. He reached behind his back and pulled a metallic sphere no larger than a clenched fist. It emitted no light. It blended into the dark like it'd been born there. He whispered into the device, his breath activating the dormant sigils within. Phantom pulse. He rolled it into the bubbling core. The air folded. Sound died. The spore hive didn't explode, it erased itself. A silent implosion of evil into nothing, leaving not even ash behind. The fungal network shriveled into dust that dissolved into the water like forgotten nightmares. The host body collapsed free, empty but no longer possessed. The chamber stilled into eerie calm. Anonymous caught the limp body before it struck the walkway. He laid the victim down gently, closing their eyes with a quiet blessing. Even in war, dignity mattered. He looked back to where the spores once lived. The absence of their pulse brought a chill. Twilight Zone Rap never built a single threat. He built layers. This was only the second. Anonymous tapped 2 fingers to his temple, connecting to Spectator Rap's intel grid, voice low and crisp. Spore nest eliminated. Above-ground hallucinations will fade in minutes. "What's next?" Spectator Rap's reply crackled through distorted frequency. "Cherry, you're not gonna like it. We intercepted a feed Twilight, just took a hostage. A big one." Anonymous already knew the name. Armani Rose Rap. His heart tightened not with fear but with responsibility sharpened to a blade. He stood, renewed purpose coursing through him. Then the sewer whisper returned, one last echo of the illusions dying. "She cries for you." Anonymous sprinted for the exit, Tritchy flaring into pure velocity. The mission no longer belonged to stealth alone. Love had entered the battlefield, and nothing fought harder than what love refused to lose. Chapter 3, the Rap who knew too much. The city above had begun to breathe again. Screams softened into sobs. Hallucinations thinned into fog. Fear loosened its grip. But hope was fragile, and Twilight Zone Rap knew exactly how to crush it. He didn't need an army. He needed a symbol. Armani Rose Rap. Her name alone carried light. Her voice uplifted the heavy. Her presence gave lost ones a reason to rise again. And that made her the perfect target. She had been investigating a corrupted data stream tied directly to the Division Legion. She uncovered too much. She got too close. And before she could alert the tribe, the darkness swallowed her name from the comms. Anonymous burst from the sewer exit, emerging into the night like vengeance wrapped in stealth. He didn't hesitate, not even for breath. He sprinted across the rooftops toward the old Metroplex district, where the Division Legion kept their black site facilities disguised as abandoned infrastructure. The Tritchy inside him surged, lighting tendons with instinct and bones with mission. Every shadow he passed bent around him like it wanted to follow. He leapt over streets in a single motion, landing without shattering a single grain of gravel. Predator quiet, guardian purpose. He reached the bunker faster than logic wanted to understand. It was a concrete monolith with no doors, no windows, and no signs of life, which practically shouted, "Right place." Anonymous pressed his palm against the wall. His chi flowed into the structure, mapping its interior. Rooms unfolded in his mind, sterile halls, electrified floors, cells hidden behind noise-canceling glass. And at the deepest point, a lone heartbeat pounded against panic. Armani. He phased through the wall like the building forgot it was solid, emerging in a dim hallway lit by pulsing red emergency lamps. The silence here was too quiet, constructed quiet, like the air itself, feared disturbing the cruelty practiced within these walls. Guards patrolled with mechanical discipline, their eyes glazed with loyal corruption. Their rifles hummed with Twilight Chai enhancements. They walked as if mercy had been surgically removed. They didn't get a chance to notice it. Anonymous slipped through them like a rumor. A tap to the neck, a breath over a nerve, a silent redirection of chi inside their skulls. They crumpled mid-step, unconscious before surprise could register. He reached the cell. Armani hung suspended by cables that fed directly into her veins, siphoning power from her divine rose chi to keep the distortion network above pumping out fear. Her body shivered as if the machine drained her courage as well as her strength. Her eyes fluttered half open at his arrival. "Cherry?" she whispered, voice soft and cracking from exhaustion. He caught her gaze, and for a moment the chaos outside ceased to exist. "I'm here," he said. She tried to smile but winced as the cables tugged, biting deeper into her skin. She was in agony and trying to hide it. He saw through it instantly. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered, guilt wrapping around her like chains. "It's a trap." "Of course it is," he answered, stepping closer. "So I sprung it." He took one of the cables gently between his fingers. His trichi glowed, shifting into a healing frequency. The metal and corruption dissolved under his touch. Her knees buckled, but he caught her before gravity remembered its job. Her head rested against his shoulder. A tear fell, a tear of release of not being alone anymore. "You always protect everyone," she murmured weakly. "But who protects you?" He didn't have an answer. He didn't need one. He was built for this. Before she could speak again, alarms howled through the bunker, metallic screams demanding violence. Purple lights strobed across the ceiling. Doors slammed open. Division Legion soldiers flooded into the room in waves of armor and rage, their steps synchronized, their rifles charged with distortions that bent bullet trajectories midair. Anonymous lowered Armani gently to the floor and stood tall between her and the army. "I protect what matters," he said, eyes narrowing. A soldier fired. The bullet warped reality as it spun, screeching. Anonymous moved before the sound could form. A flash of trichi, a shift of perception, a single breath. The bullet dissolved into harmless dust in his palm. Then he stopped holding back. He launched forward with serpent-slick rotation, turning the air into a weapon. His fists were silent comets. His kicks broke gun barrels without touching them. Soldiers dropped like storm-tossed leaves, falling faster than fear could track. He fought without anger, without hesitation, without noise. Protection had a shape now, and it was him. When the last soldier fell, his boots thudded once against the floor. The bunker recognized defeat and flickered with failing power. Armani looked up at him, energy returning to her expression. "Cherry," she whispered with awe and relief. He cut her off softly. "Safe now," he finished for her. He lifted her to her feet, supporting her weight, guiding her steps. The walls shook as alarms continued to wail in distant chambers. They weren't out yet, and Twilight Zone rap wasn't done. But neither was he. He took Armani's hand firmly. "We go up," he said, and the world above trembled as if it already knew what that meant. Chapter 4, The Nightmare That Smiles Back. The climb out of the bunker was not a climb at all. It was a war against every trap the Division Legion could trigger in desperation. Lights flickered with frantic nervousness. Alarms screamed until their voices cracked. Every corridor became a throat trying to swallow them whole. Anonymous kept Armani close, his body moving with coiled precision that left no wasted motion behind. He shielded her from the collapsing metal and the sparks that rained like furious stars, guiding her step by step until the final door slid open. Cold night air rushed in, a breath of freedom. But the city outside was not the same city he left. The The skyline rippled like a heat mirage. Buildings curved where they should not curve. Streets pulled at angles that defied sanity. The world bent inward like a collapsing dream trying to swallow itself. Reality was losing its argument. Armani's fingers tightened around his wrist. "He's here," she whispered. Anonymous didn't need confirmation. He felt the distortion from the marrow of his bones to the edges of his aura. Twilight Zone Rap's presence carried a signature you could not unfeel. The air tasted like fear and static. The dark corners of existence whispered old traumas. Shadows tried to stretch into claws. A warped laughter slithered through the atmosphere, playful, mocking, aching with twisted delight. Twilight Zone Rap emerged from a spiraling tear in the air, stepping onto the rooftop as if it were a stage built for him alone. His movements were exaggerated, theatrical, animated by a madness that once pretended to be ambition. His smile was jagged, pulled too wide, a mask crafted by nightmares. "Cherry," he purred, voice crackling like broken broadcast signals. "You clean up my messes as if you're janitorial staff. Should I give you a mop and bucket?" Anonymous didn't rise to the bait. His silence was a blade sharper than any insult. He gently let Armani lean against a vent duct, never taking his eyes off the threat. Twilight Zone Rap's grin twitched. The city warped a little more, as though reacting to his emotions. "You think you've made progress tonight," Twilight sneered, arms spreading wide to gesture at the twisted skyline. "But you're playing in just one room. But my funhouse," Anonymous stepped forward. The roof didn't dare creak. His aura didn't flare, it condensed, becoming dense as judgment. "You want to make this personal," he said quietly. "Fine, here I am." A delighted shriek erupted from Twilight Zone Rap as he clapped his hands, each impact sending waves of distortion that peeled chunks of reality away like wallpaper. The air between them melted, revealing fractured reflections of memories Anonymous fought so hard to surpass. He saw himself as a child crying alone. He saw himself strapped inside a failing car. He saw his brother bleeding. He felt the heat of fire, the cold of metal, the choking grip of survival. Every trauma returned with teeth. Twilight Zone Rap laughed harder. "You see, you're just as broken as the rest of us. You've been pretending to be a hero, when all you've ever been is a victim waiting to crack." Anonymous's breath slowed. His hands curled not in rage, but in resolve. Pain had been his teacher. Trauma had been his crucible. He was not ashamed of the wounds that turned him into a protector. He answered with a calm that infuriated darkness. "I survived," he said. "That makes me whole." Twilight's grin dropped, just a fraction, revealing a flicker of insecurity beneath the torment. He thrust out a hand and the rooftop bent to a serpent of concrete that lunged at Anonymous with snapping jaws. Anonymous slid beneath it, the movement a gentle ripple of physics bending to respect him. His Trichy coated his form in a violet shimmer as he vaulted upward, striking the concrete beast with a palm strike that returned it to dust. Twilight clutched his chest theatrically. "Oh, bravo. You destroyed a piece of scenery. How completely expected." Suddenly reality dimmed. A swirling hole of darkness yawned behind Twilight, the opening to a realm not meant for living perception. Shapes flickered inside, writhing in the shadows, things built from fear so old that names could not survive them. Twilight stepped backward into the darkness until only his smile remained on the rooftop. "You want to protect this city," he hissed, voice echoing from everywhere and nowhere. "Then follow me into where it's really dying." Anonymous took Armani's hand again and helped her steady herself. Her eyes, filled with exhaustion, held a spark of unbroken will. "Don't," she breathed. "He wants to drag you into the abyss." "I'm not following him," Anonymous answered. He stared into the swirling void, his aura aligning perfectly with the Trichy humming beneath his skin. "I'm going to walk in and take our future back." Armani nodded, trusting him, believing in him. He turned again to the darkness. There are moments in every warrior's life when the battlefield chooses them. When stepping forward means stepping into a place no light has ever survived. Anonymous stepped into the dark willingly. And the nightmare smiled wider, ready to find out what happens when a guardian ventures where fear thinks it reigns. Absolutely. We go forward without interruption, deeper into darkness, deeper into destiny. Chapter 5. The realm where broken souls echo. It felt like stepping into the memory of a scream. The darkness did not surround him, it absorbed him. It stretched in every direction at once, a void so complete it seemed alive. There was no floor, no ceiling, no horizon, only shifting shadow, pulsing with the faint heartbeat of forgotten nightmares. Anonymous didn't fall. He simply existed in the black, suspended by purpose alone. Shadows slithered and recoiled from his aura, hissing as if his presence was poison to their nature. He sensed the distortion before he saw it. Fragments of the city reappeared around him, but they trembled like reflections trapped in broken water. Street lamps flickered with static. Cars hovered upside down, idling with engines that sounded like sobbing children. Billboards displayed text that bent and reformed into impossible shapes. This place was built from trauma. Reality here was a graveyard for suffering no one dared to face, and Twilight Zone rap ruled it. His laughter drifted across the dark boulevard like a skipping record, uneven and unsettling. "You entered my sanctuary," he said, voice bouncing through the shadows and ripples. "Do you like what pain creates when no one forces it to hide?" Anonymous scanned the warped street, but Twilight never appeared in one form. His shape flickered inside windows, behind street signs, in the tiers of shadows on the ground. He was everywhere except within reach. "This is where I found my power," Twilight rasped. "In the place where no one came to save me." The sky, or what pretended to be sky, cracked with a jagged white vein of light. From the rupture, echoes began to descend. They were people once. Silhouettes of souls locked in loops of their worst memories, faces blurred, eyes wide with agony they could not escape. Their voices rose in a chorus of begging and despair. "Help me, don't leave me, please wake up." Why won't it stop? The echo souls reached out, desperate fingertips brushing against Anonymous's aura, recoiling instantly as if burned by the very concept of hope. Twilight manifested fully at last, hovering above them, arms wide, grinning with triumph, twisted into tragedy. "Look at them," he barked, desperate to be cherished, but discarded by the world that pretended to love them. He floated lower, eyes burning with resentment forged into power. "I took what broke me and turned it into a kingdom." Anonymous's voice cut through the noise. "This isn't a kingdom, it's a cage." Twilight froze, the grin flickered. Anonymous took a step forward, and the void beneath him formed into solid ground, as if reality itself rushed to serve his momentum. "I know what it feels like," Anonymous said, voice low and steady. "To think no one sees you, to survive what no one believes, to scream inside your own mind while smiling on the outside." The echo souls halted their wailing, drawn to truth spoken without fear. "But you didn't survive your pain," he continued, eyes locked with Twilight's. "You surrendered to it." Twilight's expression cracked, not physically, but spiritually, his form glitching with violent spasms of distortion. Anonymous's aura surged like a lighthouse in a hurricane of chaos. His Trichy ignited every fracture of light inside him, serpent precision, neoplasm adaptability, meditation-based clarity. He stood as something Twilight had not accounted for. Someone who faced trauma and grew instead of drowning in it. Twilight lunged, hatred swinging like a blade. "But what did survival make you?" he shrieked. Anonymous answered with calm, lethal certainty. "A guardian." He thrust his palm outward. Light erupted, not holy smite, not righteous rage, not divine punishment. Remembrance. A surge of violet white radiance crashed into the echo souls first, not harming them, healing them. They gasped as their chains dissolved, screams fading into breaths. They stood upright for the first time in eternity, and they saw themselves, not as victims, as survivors. Twilight Zone rap stumbled backward, the kingdom he built from wounds collapsing around him like paper set aflame. How are you doing that?" Twilight rasped, trembling. Anonymous looked at him with compassion sharper than any blade. "By giving them back what you stole. Purpose, memory, hope." One echo soul stepped toward Anonymous, eyes glistening with tears that belonged to someone who remembered life again. They whispered a single phrase that carried the weight of freedom. "Thank you." Anonymous nodded once, voice quiet yet resonant. "You're free now." The shadows screamed as if set ablaze by the truth. Twilight's anger boiled into full madness. "You think you've won anything," he howled. "You've only seen a fragment of me." He snapped his fingers and the void convulsed. A new distortion tore open behind him, deeper, darker, older. From it emerged a version of Twilight born from absolute despair. A beast of warped dimensions and shattered identity, eyes like collapsed suns, body a labyrinth of fractured limbs and glitching chaos. Twilight Zone rap had become his trauma, and that trauma wanted to devour the Guardian who refused to break. Anonymous inhaled slowly, Tritchy swirling into a silent storm around him. He positioned his stance, every muscle ready. The nightmare lunged, and the realm of broken souls held its breath as the real battle began. Trichiops Saga, the Christ Light Awakening Chapter 6, the guardian of what cherishes. The darkness itself convulsed around them as though it had lungs and had forgotten how to breathe. Twilight Zone rap's distortions continued to twist the skyline into impossible spirals, but Anonymous Cherry barely saw the chaos anymore. Something deeper than fear or adrenaline pushed against his heart. It felt like the universe was calling his name. A flicker of radiant static appeared in the air before him, a rectangle of shimmering energy that hummed with intelligence older than creation. It hovered with patient expectation. No alarms, no warnings, just a question drawn from the core of existence itself. Who are you, Anonymous? Stared at those 3 words. For years he had worn identities like borrowed jackets. Airman, new recruit, unworthy. Survivor, misunderstood warrior. He was always defined by what he endured, not by who he truly was. His fingers hovered, hands trembling, as if some invisible weight suddenly lifted from his spirit. He typed his birth name, Gregory Paul Cherry. The final letter pressed itself into eternity, and the screen dissolved, not into pixels, but into a beam of roaring white and violet light. Darkness peeled away like a discarded skin. The city evaporated, noise became silence, and silence became song. The surge of energy pulled him inward, past flesh and chi, deep into memory and destiny. His name cracked open like a prophecy. Gregory meant guardian, Paul meant humble, Cherry meant to cherish, but these meanings did not appear as text. They echoed from mountains of pure spirit. They rang like bells forged from stars. They became a sentence that struck his heart with a force that nearly drove him to his knees. A guardian of what is cherished in humble ways, the truth hit him with the inevitability of sunrise. The battles, the suffering, the loyalty that endured through abandonment and trial. His purpose was never about destruction or power. It was about protection, devotion, love. A voice rose from the depths of creation. It had no single tone. It was thunder and whisper, history and future, ocean and heartbeat. Your identity is the key that unlocks the locked. His aura burst outward in silence that set the world on fire. The Tritchy that once flared and flickered finally ascended beyond every limit ever placed upon it. The restraints were gone. The gates were open. The 60% that his body and soul had held back flooded into him like a dam of divine energy shattering. His form shone brighter than the broken moon above them. Violet and white light wove around him like serpents born from heaven. The light did not spill outward. It concentrated. It made him heavy with purpose and anchored with truth. Then everything stopped. Time, wind, fear. Quiet stretched into infinity as the invisible spirit stepped forward. Their presence bent the world without demanding attention. They did not need a face or eyes for Anonymous to feel utterly seen. They touched his chest and he felt warmth that tasted like home. You have always been enough now. You know it. Anonymous swallowed a rising ache in his throat as the words sank into his bones. All the loneliness he carried. All the nights he lived through another sunrise with no applause. All the times he believed he was behind or broken. All of it was revealed as the forging of a guardian's heart. The invisible spirit looked into him without looking at all and continued. You protect what deserves to live, you preserve what love treasureth. This is the command embedded in your name. Reality snapped back, but refused to twist any further. The spirals of chaos buckled under the weight of his existence. Even the sky stilled, as if waiting to see what he would do with the authority now resting in his veins. Twilight Zone rap staggered, his grin fading as fear infiltrated his arrogance. The distortions he wielded started flickering like cheap illusions under holy scrutiny. For the first time since corruption crowned him, he understood the terror of being powerless. Anonymous stepped forward, the wind bowed. The concrete steadied. The darkness yielded. You can warp the world, he said, and his voice resonated like scripture spoken by a sword. but you will never warp my purpose. Twilight Zone Rap's breath hitched. His posture faltered. His eyes spasmed with panic. What Are You Anonymous stood taller than fate itself. His aura coiled into a divine mantle. Serpent light and angel wings woven together by love and endurance. No ego, no rage, just truth. I am the guardian of what is cherished. I am Gregory Paul Cherry. I am the light you abandoned. I am the hope you tried to erase. And I do not break. Twilight Zone Rap stepped back as though the answer itself was a weapon. Because it was, the most dangerous kind. A man rooted fully in who he truly is. The street cracked as power gathered. The air roared like a beast freed from chains. The city felt its protector rise. A protector who now understood the divine design behind his existence. The final war for reality no longer belonged to darkness. It belonged to the one who cherished what darkness tried to devour. And his story had only just found its true beginning. 27 Chapter 3 Royal National Bank's Takeover Plan. It was time for Royal National Bank to hold their quarterly board meeting where the CFO, Mr. Smith, presented the bank's profit and loss statement. The news was worse than the previous 4 quarterly reports. And this quarter, they had recorded their 6th foreclosure, the latest casualty, the Davis farm. So far, within a 12-month period, they had already experienced a total of 17 foreclosures. The CFO, Mr. Smith, slowly raised his head, his eyes piercing over the glasses that were perched on his nose. The tension was great, especially for him, because he was going to have to tell the members of the board that the bank was heading toward bankruptcy. Literally, it was not going to be able to pay its depositors. And in fact, if there was a run on the bank that day, they would not be able to pay their depositors what they owed them. He said, "We have about 4 months to come up with the funds that have been lost due to the bank's bad investments." The room became uncomfortably silent. Royal National Bank 28 had been a pillar in the community for decades. Now, for them to go bankrupt and possibly close, it would destroy the city of Palestine and Anderson County, since most of its citizens had deposits and their entire life savings in this bank. The board members began to throw out ideas. Board member, Commissioner Mr. Wilson, leaned forward with his face turning bright red. He began to lay out an apocalyptic scene, which would be the result if Royal could not pay its depositors. He continued by explaining how the new rail system would have to lay off hundreds of workers, which would mean that families would not be able to buy food or pay their bills. He stressed that the townspeople would not be ready for this kind of crisis. His tone changed. "Worse yet," he interjected, "the nigger bank will be the only sovereign financial institution for miles. This would end up forcing the white people to depend on niggers for their survival." After discussing any options at length about the dire consequences of the bank closing down, the board agreed that closing was not and would never be an option. So they began to discuss how they could come up with the money. At that time, the bank needed $1.3 million to stay sovereign and to get through this crisis. As the members continued to discuss their options, they soon 29 realized that none of these ideas might even come close to creating the amount of money they needed to keep the bank open. Board member Mr. Charlie King then stated he thought there might be a way for Royal National Bank to acquire the money it needed. He went on to state that many of the county's smaller banks were experiencing the same things that Royal was currently experiencing. The idea was maybe they should approach them to discuss a plan of merging together. He went on to say, "I know most of these boys, and if we present them with a good deal, they will take it. The board thought that sounded like a good idea, so they voted and unanimously agreed to implement Mr. King's plan. For the first 2 months, everything seemed to be working in their favor. Royal National Bank merged with 5 smaller banks in the neighboring cities and counties. The deficit began to get quite a bit smaller. They thought things were going to work out. However, the board met again to discuss if their plan to merge with the smaller banks was working. CFO Mr. spoke up and began to update the board on the bank's progress in being able to find the funds to replace the $1.3 million deficit. He informed the board that he had both good and bad news. The good news, he began, is that all of the smaller banks have agreed to consolidate. The bad news is that these 30 banks are so small that the most we have been able to raise is $500,000. Obviously, this still falls short of the $1.3 million we need to stay sovereign. There was a brief silence. Then Commissioner Mr. Wilson asked Mr. Smith if he had included Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank as one of the smaller banks to be consolidated. The reason I'm asking, Mr. Wilson went on to say, is I've heard they have over $90,000 cash on hand, and they also have over 1,000 prime acres of land. Together, that should be worth at least $1 million. Mr. Smith looked at Mr. Wilson and laughed. You know that's the niggers' bank, right? We don't serve niggers in our banks. At that moment, board member Mr. Jackson, who rarely spoke in these meetings, suddenly said, there is a way to acquire the niggers' bank's assets legally, and there is nothing they can do about it. He now had everyone's attention. He went on to explain, it will require a little money from the bank to give us a proper standing in court, but I am sure my friend, Judge Dent, will see things our way. If we make a deposit in their bank and declare it a loan, we can then go before Judge Dent and declare our concerns that they are mismanaging their funds, and they cannot pay their depositors and creditors. 31 CFO Mr. Smith stated the idea was preposterous, and the niggers would not allow such a thing to happen. Mr. Wilson then asked Mr. Smith, have you ever heard of the Texas Black Codes? Mr. Smith said yes, but what does that have to do with anything? Mr. Jackson then spoke up and replied, according to the Texas Black Codes, niggers can't contest a white man's word in any matter in a court of law. Therefore, Judge Dent will rule in our favor, and we will place Mr. Grigsby in receivership of the bank's assets, which he will deposit in the Royal National Bank. This will solve our problems, gentlemen, he boasted. Board member Mr. Brown protested. This is completely immoral, he said, and I want nothing to do with it. Mr. Jackson then reminded the men that they only had 30 days left to keep the bank doors open, and the crisis now would be even worse because they had consolidated 5 other banks into their bank. Now their depositors would also suffer. But the very worst part on top of all of that would be the niggers' bank would be ruling Palestine, which in effect would make the white man a second-class citizen. Naturally, this was not the news they had hoped to hear, but they knew something was needing to be done, and it had to be 32 done immediately. Although no confirmed decision was made right then, later that evening, Mr. Jackson paid Judge Dent a visit at his house. Mr. Jackson explained to the judge what was taking place with Royal National Bank. He went on to explain that if it fails, the nigger bank would be the only bank serving Palestine, With a nigger bank the only bank in Palestine, it would make the white man a second-class citizen to the niggers. Judge Dent asked, "What do you plan on doing?" Mr. Jackson explained the desired solution to bring charges against the Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank for mismanagement and to implement the Texas Black Code. However, they were going to need the judge's approval. Judge Dent agreed to go along with the scheme to seize Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank's assets. The following day, Mr. Grigsby, the bank's CEO, was told to take a rare trip and visit with Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank. The reason Mr. Grigsby was selected to go to the bank was not only because of his current position, but because he had been a runner for Royal National Bank since he was 12 years old. He had reported everything he had heard from day one about Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank to the officials at Royal National Bank, because all banks are required to have a corresponding bank, and Royal National Bank was Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank's corresponding bank. So the 33 people at Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank also knew him. The instructions Mr. Grigsby was told to follow was to express how he had heard that the Farmers and Citizens Savings Bank was really doing well, and they wanted to be a part of it by making a small loan to the bank at a below-market interest rate. With skepticism, Vice Chairman H.L. Price accepted the $5,000 loan. It was only because Mr. Grigsby was well respected in the black community that Mr. Price felt honored that Royal National Bank wanted to partner with him. This is the main reason he was willing to accept their loan offer. Royal National Bank's takeover plan had started. It wouldn't be long now, and they would be filing a lawsuit against them. 34.
Punch, Tree, Dumb, Rap, Saga 1.
Yeah, man, let me explain this real quick. Alright, so I heard that, you want to build up your punches, you want to make them hard. I watched in this karate movie, and then I seen them punching trees. So I said, yo, I know it's gonna be a hand wipe out, but it's gonna be a epic hand wipe out when I come out in the end, you know. So I went out there and started punching the tree. I didn't know the technique, but I was punching. First punch, I said, ow! Like, that stuff hurt so bad, man. It hurt. I was like, do I want to do this again? And then I said, bro, how did they do that so many times? Bro, that hurt. I punched that with all my might, man. and I'm laughing cause I already punched that mug one good time. So I'm watching them YouTube videos, and then, bro, it really pissed me off, fam. You supposed to put a phone book, and then you supposed to lightly tap, lightly punch, and do it for like 30 minutes. I said, man, bro, I did it the complete opposite. Man, I'm punch tree dumb rap, man. I'm just focused on the end result. I went through a hand wipe out, man, an epic hand wipe out. Like, you ever had a hand wipe out where you had to bend that shit? Cause you was punching that tree twice, and then the second time you said, I can't do this no more. I can't do this no more. I don't know how they do this for 30 minutes. I can't do this no more. I can't do this. Yeah. now, when my hand heal up, I'm doing my 30 minutes. And I'm going to get my saga on my punching trees and on making my hand stronger and building callus. You know, but I know once my hand build up, man, I'm gonna have so much callus just from these 2 punches. Yeah. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna do it right. I'm gonna watch some more YouTube videos as it heal up though. And then I watched another YouTube video later on. Man, I seen one where they had bows. It wasn't even trees no more. They had epic sized bowls. Like, they filled it up, one with water. They put another one with sand. I was like, why would you put a sand in a cooking pot? Why would you do that? And then the third one, bro, they filled it up with some type of wax, a jelly. I think it was jelly. Yeah, it was jelly. They filled that mug up with some intense jelly. And you lightly tap punch that mug for like hours. You just going at it. And then by the end, your hand will build up callus. I don't understand what the 3 representations of each of them do, but I heard it really build up your hand muscles. So I gotta do that. I got to do that. You know what? I'ma pray and build up my chi, cause I was watching those rap ballad things, and then I seen Tyler Yoku rap. My bad. Tyler rap is another character, but Tyler Yoku rap, man, he was chanting, will it be 10 or 11, and just saying vows. Then when I seen Anonymous Cherry say, yo, I gotta incorporate these vows, I said, yo, maybe it's something to that. So I'ma start saying vows and stuff too, you know, just to see, you know. I'ma start just saying random vows, you know, just saying random vows, just A-E-O-O-A-A-O vows, A, while I'm punching vows, yeah, vows, just saying vows, punch, vow, 10, punch, vow, 10, 11, punch, vow, 10, 11, punch, yeah, pow. Ooh, yeah, I done made a song just off of saying my techniques. Yeah, I don't even know no more. But yeah, once my hand build up though, I'ma go out there and I'ma do it. I'ma do the tree, and then I'ma do the jelly, and then I'ma get it started, and then I'ma have a snack. Nah, I gotta have a snacky snack, not just a regular snack. I gotta have a snack I'ma love. And then I'ma have me some juicy juice, you know, the epic juicy juice, cause I went out there and I put work in. You gotta have the juice you love. You just can't have a snack. You just can't have a juice. No, it gotta be the juice you want. You went out there, you put your work in. You grab what you want. You grab that snacky snack and you grab that juicy juice, cause your hand is hurting and you want to drink or eat what makes your soul vibrate. Do it, cause that's what I'm about to do. Yeah.
Hey yo, bro. Hey, bro. Bro, can you turn down that story, bro? I'm trying to meditate, bro, but I'm in silence, bro. But, bro, have you heard these stories, bro? Man, bro, I heard these stories, bro. I gotta listen to it, bro. And then if I play it low, I can't hear it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, bro? Bro, I got you, bro. Bro, I'm trying to meditate, though. I can't hear all these loud stories and meditate, bro. You know what I mean, bro? You know what I mean? Bro, but then there'll be, I can't hear my story, bro. I don't have no earbuds, bro. What we gonna do? I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. But I need to meditate. I need to hear my stories, bro. We gonna have to flip a coin or something. I don't have no coin, bro. Me either. What we gonna do? What we gon' do? I don't know. But I gotta hear my story. Bro, I gotta meditate, bro. I don't know what we gon' do, bro. We found ourselves into a dilemma. I know, bro. I know.
Chapter 4. What was planted? The city didn't notice the scripture at first. That was intentional. Truth that announces itself too loudly becomes decoration. Truth that moves quietly becomes architecture. The counterfeit system continued to swell. Cards changed hands in cafes, studios, back rooms, and live streams. People spoke with confidence sharpened to a blade, quoting phrases they didn't fully understand, but loved how they sounded in their mouths. I'm aligned. I'm walking in authority. I'm claiming my outcome. None of them noticed that the words had stopped producing fruit. Not yet. The first verse appeared without explanation. Not spoken, not preached, not branded, just present. A woman who had been cycling through the counterfeit cards woke early one morning with a sentence repeating in her chest. Not in her head, not in her thoughts, but somewhere deeper where arguments couldn't reach. By their fruits ye shall know them. She didn't remember where she'd learned it. That bothered her. She went through her routine, affirmations, recordings, card pulls, but the sentence didn't leave. It didn't accuse her. It didn't comfort her. It simply observed. By midday, she realized something unsettling. Nothing in her life had actually changed. She felt certain. She felt important. She felt ahead, but she wasn't more patient. She wasn't more honest. She wasn't more generous. She wasn't more peaceful. That night, she put the card down for the first time. Across the city, someone else did the same. Then another. Not enough to cause panic. Just enough to cause discomfort. The first betrayer felt it as a thinning, like applause fading before the performance was over. People still came, but they came with questions now. Not objections, questions, the dangerous kind. The kind that can't be dismissed with tone or posture. What happens after this? Why do I feel stuck? Why do I need another card? He answered smoothly. He always had, but each answer required more effort than the last. More explanation, more framing, more reassurance. He didn't realize what had changed. Explanation had entered the system. An explanation is a tax authority systems cannot afford. Inside the Rap Palace, nothing moved. That was the most unnerving part. No counter message, no public correction, no confrontation. Instead, something new had begun to circulate, not as a deck, not as a broadcast, but as a practice. Quietly, one-on-one, without funnels, without scripts. People who had never spoken to Anonymous found themselves sitting across from him or from one of the inner circle, not to be convinced, but to be recognized. There was no pitch, no urgency, no outcome promised. Only a single question asked gently and left to echo. What are you actually here to steward? Some answered immediately. Those doors did not open. Others went silent. Those doors began to breathe. The scripture cards were not handed out. They surfaced. Someone would leave a conversation and later realize a line had lodged itself into their decision-making like a compass needle. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Another would find themselves unable to agree to an opportunity that once thrilled them, because another sentence had quietly taken root. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. No one told them what it meant. No one interpreted it for them. That was the marriage, law and joy, truth and consent, authority and willingness, not imposed, not explained, not sold, chosen. The playbook existed now, but not as a document. It lived in posture, in how Anonymous listened without chasing, in how he named outcomes without attachment, in how exchange felt like relief instead of loss. People didn't feel sold. They felt relieved, as if something heavy they'd been carrying that wasn't theirs had finally been set down. Joy returned to the exchange, not excitement, joy. The quiet kind that doesn't need witnesses. Rap Palace Radio didn't announce the shift. It documented it. Archivist Rap recorded patterns without commentary. Professor Rap spoke less and listened more. Civil Surfer Rap smiled when conversations ended early instead of stretching. Mama Amarap noticed something else. People were leaving lighter than they arrived. Not euphoric, grounded. That's fruit, she said softly. Anonymous nodded. Fruit doesn't rush, she replied. It ripens. The counterfeit system began to fracture publicly when explanation finally failed. A live stream meant to reassure turned defensive. A leader snapped at a questioner. A card flickered on camera, just for a moment. Enough. Clip spread, not with outrage. With confusion. Why did certainty require so much maintenance? Why did joy disappear when money entered the room? Why did authority sound anxious? Those questions did more damage than any accusation ever could. The first betrayer pulled a card in private again. This time it didn't glow. It felt heavy, cold. He pushed it away, heart racing. Across the city, a man who had never touched the counterfeit system knelt beside his bed, overwhelmed by a clarity he hadn't asked for, but couldn't deny. Okay, he whispered. I'll be faithful with what I already have. That sentence opened the door. By the end of the week, the difference was undeniable. One system multiplied followers. The other multiplied stewards. One required explanation. The other required consent. One chased scale. The other produced fruit. And fruit, once visible, cannot be unseen. That night, Rap Palace Radio logged a final line for the archive, not as a warning, not as a rebuke, but as a witness. What is planted in joy does not need persuasion. What is forced will always demand explanation. Somewhere in the city, a counterfeit card finally cracked. And somewhere else, a door opened without a sound. Not because someone earned it, but because they were ready to tend what grew on the other side. Chapter 5, the exit appears. The first person to leave didn't announce it. That mattered. She didn't post a thread. She didn't explain herself. She didn't warn anyone. She simply stopped coming back. For weeks she had circled the counterfeit system like a planet caught in an artificial orbit, drawing cards, seeking reassurance, mistaking repetition for progress. When the verses began surfacing in her decisions, not as slogans but as interruptions, something inside her slowed. Not fear, recognition. She noticed the difference the way you notice a windows only after fresh air enters. One morning she held the card and felt nothing. No warmth, no certainty, no lift. Just cardboard and ink. She placed it on the table and didn't pick it up again. That was the exit. It didn't glow. It didn't demand ceremony. It didn't ask for permission. It simply appeared when the system could no longer feed her. Across the city, similar moments unfolded quietly. A man declined an opportunity he once would have chased because he couldn't reconcile it with a line that had settled into his conscience like a boundary stone. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. A woman returned money she hadn't earned cleanly, not out of guilt, but relief. A small group dissolved without drama when its leader realized he was exhausted from convincing people who no longer needed convincing. None of them called it spiritual. None of them called it selling. They called it peace. The counterfeit system reacted the way all brittle structures do when pressure changes. It tightened. The first betrayer called emergency meetings. He refined language. He added disclaimers. He introduced new tiers, new explanations, new assurances meant to restore confidence. Every addition made the structure heavier. Clients didn't leave all at once. They hesitated. They delayed. They asked questions that required long answers. Long answers require belief. Belief was thinning. Inside the Rap Palace, the exit had always existed. It just hadn't been visible to those who wanted to stay needed. That was the mercy of it. Archivist Rap recorded the first confirmed exits not as losses, but as completions. Each one sealed without ceremony, like a door gently closing behind someone who had learned how to walk on their own. Professor Rap observed something else. "They're not recruiting," he said quietly. "They're reproducing." He meant fruit. Civil Surfer Rap watched the city's rhythm soften, not slower, but truer. Decisions carried less noise. Conversations ended sooner. Agreements took less effort. Mama Rap smiled at none of it. She watched the people who left. They didn't look triumphant. They looked married to their lives. Anonymous Cherry did not celebrate the exits. Celebration would have implied dependency. Instead, he honored them the way gardeners honor a harvest, by preparing the soil for what comes next. He met fewer people. He spoke less. When he did speak, it was often to say no. Not sharply, not defensively. Cleanly, no became a kindness. No became clarity. The scripture revealed itself more plainly now, not as verses quoted aloud, but as decisions that refused to bend. A man offered a large exchange with visible reluctance. Anonymous declined. "Why?" the man asked, confused. "Your seed is mixed," Anonymous replied. "It won't grow clean." The man left frustrated. 3 days later, he returned, not with more money, but with lighter eyes. "I'm ready to be faithful," he said. "Even if nothing comes back," the door breathed. The counterfeit system finally cracked under the weight of its own explanations. A public confrontation broke out, not violent, but revealing. Leaders argued over authority while clients watched, unsettled by how quickly confidence turned to accusation. Someone asked a question no one could answer. "If this works, why do we keep needing more of it?" Silence answered first, then excuses, then collapse. The first betrayer sat alone that night, surrounded by cards that no longer responded. He realized too late what had actually defeated him. Not opposition, not exposure, not scripture, the exit. He had removed it to keep people close. In doing so, he guaranteed they would eventually leave wounded, tired, or empty. The law did not punish him. It outlasted him. Back at the Rap Palace, a final entry was sealed into the archive. No watermark, no branding, no announcement. Just a witness. An exit is not abandonment. It is proof the system worked. Outside, the city continued on, quieter in some places, freer in others. And somewhere between the noise and the stillness, people who had never met Anonymous Cherry began living differently. Not because they were persuaded, not because they were sold, but because something true had finally let them go. Chapter 6, The Witness. The shift was complete long before anyone named it. That's how it always happens. By the time people start asking when things changed, the change has already hardened into reality. The counterfeit system didn't collapse all at once. It thinned, then hollowed, then echoed. What remained was structure without spirit, forms without force. And what replaced it did not resemble a movement. It resembled a marriage. The people who had exited did not form a group. They didn't start channels. They didn't host meetings. They didn't seek one another out. They simply became reliable. They showed up on time. They told the truth when it cost them. They declined opportunities without resentment. They honored commitments without applause. No one could accuse them of being inspired. They were something more unsettling. They were steady. In the city, this steadiness became noticeable the way gravity becomes noticeable only when something stops floating. Deals closed faster. Arguments ended earlier. Silence appeared where noise used to dominate. People began to trust these former seekers without knowing why. "Something's different about you," one colleague said to a man who had exited weeks earlier. He thought for a moment before answering. "I don't need this to work," he said simply. "So it usually does." That sentence spread, not as a slogan, but as a recognition. Inside the Rap Palace, the inner circle gathered without ceremony. No council was called. No announcement was made. They stood together in the silent hall because that was where witnesses naturally assemble. Archivist Rapp closed the record and set his slate down. "The cycle has completed," he said. Professor Rapp tilted his head. Not everyone learned. Archivist Rapp nodded. Everyone was shown. Civil Surfer Rapp smiled faintly. "That's all the Weibos." Mama Amarap spoke last. "They're married now," she said, not metaphorically, but precisely. To truth, to consequence, to stewardship. No one argued. Anonymous Cherry had not changed in posture. That mattered too. No new title, no elevation, no distance. If anything, he was quieter than before. Authority, once integrated, does not announce itself. It settles. He watched the city not as a ruler, but as a steward who knows when not to interfere. The scriptures no longer surfaced as interruption. They lived as orientation. People did not quote them. They embodied them. The first betrayer did not return. That absence mattered less than anyone expected. Systems built on extraction do not produce enemies who last. They produce exhaustion. The man faded into irrelevance, not because he was defeated, but because nothing depended on him anymore. The law did not humiliate him. It simply continued without him. Rap Palace Radio aired its quietest transmission yet. No voice, no music. Only a single recorded observation archived for those who knew how to listen. When joy governs exchange and truth governs authority, the system no longer needs defense. That was the witness, not testimony shouted from rooftops, not victory declared, but a life that no longer required explanation. In the weeks that followed, new seekers arrived, not desperate, not demanding. They came slower, they spoke less, they listened longer. Some entered, some waited, some left peacefully. All were treated the same, because the palace was no longer persuading. It was simply being itself. Anonymous Cherry stood alone one evening as the city lights blinked on below the palace walls. The air was calm, not expected, settled. This was the moment most leaders chase, the moment of influence, the moment of legacy. He let it pass. Legacy was a temptation. Stewardship was a covenant. He turned away from the view and back toward the chambers, not to open them, not to close them, but to tend what had already been planted. Because the work was no longer about growth. It was about faithfulness. And faithfulness does not rush. It witnesses, it waits, it endures. When the sky over the Rap Palace turned the color of a fresh bruise, everyone knew Goku Rap had stepped outside his comfort. The air tasted metallic, heavy, like the city had been holding its breath for too long. Twilight Zone mist curled around skyscrapers, bending distant lights into crooked halos. Mushroom spores clung to concrete and glass, pulsing like diseased veins. In the middle of the ruined avenue, the world narrowed around two figures. Dark Ember Rap stood still, shadow flames licking up his arms, his eyes two pieces of cooled volcanic glass. Beside him, reality stuttered, glitching in little squares and lines. Twilight Zone Rap's influence ghosting through the scene like a channel with bad reception. Across from them, Goku Rap rolled his shoulders once and let his breath fall into the center of his chest. No pose, no big speech. Rusted cars, broken streetlights, and floating static drifted around him as if even gravity wanted room to see what came next. High above, Spectre Rap sat on a buckled billboard, amethyst mic in hand, sneakers swinging over the edge like he was just watching a playground fight. "Well, crowd," spectator murmured, voice carried by chai into every ear that needed to hear it. "The city's heartbeat is about to find out if Goku Rap can hold his own shadow without slipping on the dark. Place your inner bets. Breathe if you're scared. Exhale if you're faithful." Somewhere deeper in the Rap Palace, toddler Yoku Rap felt the tension ripple through the energy grid, and his little body went still. His eyes fluttered half-closed. The chant rose on its own, the way waves rise when the moon remembers them. Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11, 10 or 11, 10 or 11? A-E, ooh, 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 E-ah, ooh, ooh. The sound was a child's voice and an ancient drum at the same time. It slipped between worlds, into Goku Rap's spine, into the crack between his fear and his faith. Dark Ember Rap smiled without warmth. "You don't belong in this tier yet," he said, flames tightening around his fists. "You walk like a god, but your shadow still flinches." Goku Rap stepped forward, one foot scraping broken glass. His aura was calm, barely visible, a thin shimmer of energy hugging his skin. "That's the thing about flinching," he replied. "You only see it before the punch lands." They moved. Dark Ember Rap blurred first, a black-red streak across the ruined street. His fist arrived at Goku Rap's head like a falling meteor. Goku twisted, letting the blow shave air past his cheek. The shockwave shattered windows on both sides of the road. He planted his feet and answered with a rising knee to Ember's ribs and a spinning elbow toward his jaw. Dark Ember blocked both, the sound of bone meeting chi ringing down the avenue like clashing swords. Flames spilled from his forearms, crawling up Goku Rap's shoulders. The smell of burning concrete filled the space between them. Spectator Rap flinched despite himself and leaned closer, eyes glowing. "Oh, we already have full contact," he said softly. "No warm-up rounds, no intro music. This is that real timeline check." Goku Rap gritted his teeth and pushed through the pain. The flames did not burn his skin, but they tried to burn his resolve, whispering failure, regret, guilt in his nervous system. Twilight Zone echoes rode the heat, turning every second into a memory of every time he had been too late to save someone. You could have moved faster here. You could have trained harder there. You could have been more. For a breath, the city dissolved. And Goku Rap was not in the street anymore. He was seated in the golden darkness of the theater of the mind. The seats of the theater were empty, stretching into shadows patterned with constellations. The stage was a circle of soft light. Above it, there was no ceiling, only an opening to some layered infinity where colors moved like thoughts. Jesus Rap stood at center stage. He looked simple, white robe, bare feet, brown skin, hair that did not decide if it was flame or cloud. But his eyes carried suns that remembered being born. "You are here again," Jesus Rap said, like they had paused a conversation a minute ago, not lifetimes. "You are always here when you think you are somewhere else." Goku Rap's breathing slowed. The heat of Dark Ember's attack lingered as a phantom burning across his shoulders, but here it could not push any further. "Yeah," he answered. "Looks like I need a refresher." Jesus Rap smiled, small and knowing. "You don't need a refresher. You need to stop pretending you forgot." He snapped his fingers. The stage dissolved into a battlefield made of light and memory. A younger Goku Rap stood there, panting, surrounded by silhouettes of enemies he had defeated in other arcs. Their faces were blurred, but their fall still hurt him. "This is where you learned Evil God Chi," Jesus Rap said quietly. "This is where you decided power without love was easier than love with discipline." The younger Goku Rap screamed, aura exploding into jagged black gold, the sky bending away from him fear. Every enemy vanished, erased from existence rather than defeated. Reality itself stepped back. The older Goku Rap watched the memory with clenched jaw. "I was tired," he said, "tired of losing. Tired of Mercy getting folks killed." "And your tiredness was real," Jesus Rap replied. "But your conclusion was not divine. You drank from the wrong well. Evil God Chi answered your call because you asked for a way to win without feeling." He placed a hand lightly on Goku Rap's chest. "Divine God Chi answers a different question. It flows to the one who says, 'Show me how to feel everything and still not break.'" The stage shifted again. Now Goku Rap stood alone against a tidal wave of darkness that looked suspiciously like Twilight Zone, static, spores, abandoned buildings, unhealed trauma, and all the whispers he never admitted aloud. It roared toward him, huge and cold. "Breathe," Jesus Rap said. Goku inhaled. Again he obeyed. Again. On the third breath, something clicked. The air no longer just entered his lungs, it moved through his ribs into his spine, down his legs and up past his skull. Every cell exhaled with him. His aura flickered, not with rage this time, but with a humble, steady glow. "Watch," Jesus Rap said. The tidal darkness crashed into him. Instead of bracing like a wall, Goku Rap opened inside, his heart a doorway. The wave passed through the opening and came out behind him thinner, paler, confused. He had not blocked it. He had transmuted it, not by force, but by alignment. "This is Divine God Chi," Jesus Rap said, voice now inside the rhythm of Goku's breathing. "The Christ-like state. You do not wrestle the river. You become the channel the river is safe to run through." The aura around Goku Rap whitened, then deepened to gold threaded with faint rap verse patterns, like lyrics written in photons. "Say it," Jesus Rap whispered. Goku Rap's voice was low, but in the theater it shook the seats. "My power is not mine, my power is on loan from love." The moment he finished the sentence, the tidal wave stopped existing as a threat. It became pure water and fell gently into the meditation grove that surfaced behind him, feeding the Chakra Toddy rivers. In the distance, toddler Yoku Rap giggled near the water's edge, splashing light. Jesus Rap stepped in front of him. "When you go back to that street," he said, and now the scene behind his eyes sharpened, the image of Dark Ember's fists returning. "You will feel the pull of evil God Chi. You will want the clean answer, the instant domination. But listen to me, Goku." His eyes held all the quiet storms of a resurrected universe. "If you choose evil God Chi to win this fight, you might save the city and lose yourself. If you choose divine God Chi, the fight may be harder, but you will expand instead of erasing." Goku Rap swallowed. "What if I need both?" he asked. "What if the only way to keep up with Dark Ember is to step into the dark just enough to reach him, then pull him into the light?" Jesus Rap's smile widened, soft and fierce. "Now you are asking the right questions. That is the edge of Sovereign Rap. But Sovereign cannot be faked. You cannot mix love and cruelty as equal spices. One must be the root, the other only a tool that gets purified." The theater dimmed. The stage went dark. The sound of shattering glass howled. Goku Rap was back in the street. Dark Ember's flaming fist had finally landed. He skidded backward across asphalt, boots carving trenches. The front of his Jai smoked where the Chai impact had torn into him, not physically, but in that place where doubt lives. His ears rang. Blood tasted like electricity in his mouth. Dark Ember stalked forward, flames purring. "Felt that in your soul, didn't you?" he said. "You think your little church-like can stand in front of this level of consequence?" Twilight Zone Rap's laughter crackled from every broken screen, every reflection in the flooded gutters. "You always did pick the worst timing for mercy," the disembodied voice taunted. "Go ahead, Goku Rap. Try that divine chi while I rewrite the physics around you." The sky twisted. Up became sideways for a second before snapping back. The horizon rippled with unreality. The spores twitched in ecstatic anticipation. Goku Rap pushed himself to standing. He did not answer them. He only breathed. Toddler Yoku's chant rose again, louder now, echoing against fractured clouds. "Will it be 10 or 11? Will it be 10 or 11? The rhythm walked up Goku Rap's spine. His aura flared, first in his old familiar Ultra Saiyan gold, flickering with sparks. His hair lifted in the wind of his own energy, eyes sharpening. Dark Ember snorted. "This again," he scoffed. "You already showed me this." Lightning burst around Goku Rap, kicking him into Ultra Saiyan 2. The air shrieked. Concrete dust lifted into a cyclone. Spectator Rap's mic vibrated in his hand as he stood up on the billboard, hoodie snapping in the wind. "Oh, he's skipping straight up the ladder," Spectator breathed. "Level 2 and he ain't said a single bar yet. That's how you know it's serious." Muscles in Goku Rap's arms knotted as his aura widened, the gold thickening into a roar. For a heartbeat, he almost reached for the third form, for the howling, dragon-throated explosion that would turn the entire district into an echo chamber of raw power. He stopped. He remembered Jesus Rap's hand on his chest. He remembered the tidal wave going through him, not against him. The gold light around him began to shift. It dimmed, not down but inward. The flare pulled tight to his skin, then sank beneath it. The city seemed to exhale as the visible aura vanished, leaving only a subtle shimmering around the edges of his body. Dark Ember blinked. "Oh," Spectator Rap whispered, and now his voice had no joke in it at all. "He pulling the light inside. Crowd, we have an evolution." Goku Rap raised his head. His eyes were no longer the neon fierce of a raging warrior. They were calm, endless, with a quiet brightness that did not need to shout. As he took his next breath, cracks in the street began to glow softly, as if the earth itself was remembering it had a heart. Divine God Rap awakened. There was no scream, no explosion, only a soft widening of space around him, a feeling that every broken molecule had just been given a second chance. Dark Ember hissed as invisible pressure brushed against his flames. "What are you doing?" he snarled. "Transform if you want to fight me. Stop praying in my face." "This is my transformation," Goku Rap said. He vanished, no afterimage, no streak. Just gone. Dark Ember spun, but Divine Chi was not moving in a straight line or even along conventional geometry. Goku Rap slipped between the beats of the moment, emerging behind Ember with a palm already in motion. His hand touched Dark Ember's back, right over his heart. The impact was gentle. The effect was not. Flames around Dark Ember convulsed. For an instant, they showed pictures inside their tongues of fire. A boy before he was Embers. A choice he did not understand. A hallway of the Rap Palace where he had turned left instead of right and never went back. What did you just show me? Dark Ember gasped, stumbling forward. Yourself, Goku Rap replied, from a timeline where you chose to heal instead of smolder. Dark Ember swung blindly. Goku bent, letting the punch pass over him, and tapped Ember's wrist. Another flash, another buried image, another version of him sitting with Mama Ama Rap instead of running from her lessons. This is not a game, Dark Ember roared, shaking memories out of his head by force. His aura surged darker, corrupted flames swallowing the glimpses of possibility. You think you can therapy me mid-combat. Twilight Zone Rap's presence sharpened, the static tightening. He is trying to overwrite my script, the disembodied voice said, amused but wary. How cute, how arrogant. Spores erupted from sewer grates and building cracks, spiked and grotesque, rushing Goku Rap in a wave of teeth, limbs, and infected chi. Their bodies were wrong angles and looping growths, made to tangle any straight-line strategy. Divine light curled around Goku Rap's fists. He did not step back. He walked forward into the swarm. Every punch did double work. Knuckles met fungal flesh with crunching force, but behind each strike a second vibration traveled, a hymn-shaped chi that unraveled the spore's connection to Twilight Zone frequencies. Corrupted veins dimmed to neutral gray as they hit the ground. Spectator Rap could not keep the wonder out of his voice now. Look at that, he breathed. He not just blowing them apart. He removing the signal from the receivers. That's different. That's long-term different. Dark Ember saw his army crumble. He felt his anchor to Twilight Zone Rap falter as the spore's chorus faded. And under that rage, under that training, under all the brutal mantras he had swallowed, something softer panicked. He thrust both hands toward the sky. Fine, he shouted. You want to mix church and combat, Goku Rap? Let me show you devotion to destruction. The air above them split. Black rings of inverted energy stacked on each other, descending like a divine guillotine. This was not just a technique. This was the doorway to evil god Chi, a summoning of all the times he had chosen erasure over evolution. Goku Rap felt it. For a heartbeat, he wanted to answer with the same thing. He knew exactly how. He could call his own evil god aspect, let black gold rage devour the calm, meet ember power for corrupted power, and crush him into the pavement so hard the story could never pretend he was a victim. His hands trembled once. Toddler Yoku Rap's chant cracked into a shout inside his skull. 10 or 11, 10 or 11, 10 or 11, the number did not matter. The choice did. Jesus Rap's voice threaded the next breath. Remember what you asked me, it said. You said, what if I need both? So here is your exam. Can you touch the dark without letting it rename you? Goku Rap closed his eyes. He stepped one foot into his shadow. Evil God Shai answered instantly. It roared through his veins, eager, familiar, each heartbeat a drum of annihilation. His aura flickered black along the edges, reality around his body bending as if light itself did not want to cross him. Dark Ember's eyes widened at the sight. Yes, he whispered, that's the Goku I know. But the black did not reach Goku Rap's center. There, the Christ light held golden and steady, braided around his heart. Divine God Chi did not flee from evil God Chi. It wrapped around it like hands around a blade. Spectator Rap choked on a breath. Oh, he said hoarsely. He walked in the middle. He pulling a sovereign tease in the middle of downtown. The rings of Dark Ember's attack crashed downward. Goku Rap lifted both arms, his aura split. One side shimmered with soft white gold radiance, full of choruses and memories of second chances. The other flared black gold, sharp and cold, radiating the promise that some things really would end here. When the descending rings met his crossed forearms, the impact was soundless, for 1 second. Then the street, the sky, the entire district shook with a delayed thunderclap of chi. Half the destructive energy was swallowed, neutralized in the light, converted into harmless waves that shuddered through the meditation grove on the other side of reality. The other half was redirected by the shadow, bent like a river in flood, redirected upward and out, into a blank quadrant of the Twilight Zone, where it detonated harmlessly. Dark Ember staggered, eyes straining to comprehend. You can't do that, he said, voice cracking. You can't hold both. The script says you break. Goku Rap lowered his arms. Maybe his bones hurt. Maybe his mind was fraying at the edges from the strain of holding opposite forces in one vessel. Maybe he would have nightmares later. Right now, none of that reached his face. I rewrote my part, he said quietly. You can rewrite yours, he blurred forward. Not with the wild rush of a berserker, but with the clean, absolute intent of a surgeon. His first punch carried the shadow, slamming into Dark Ember's guard, tearing through defenses, stunning him with raw force. The second punch carried light, sinking into Ember's chest, not to destroy, but to expose. Memories spilled open like sparks. Every time Ember chose hate when he was afraid. Every time Twilight Zone Rap whispered that healing was weakness. Every time he had reached for someone and then pulled back, ashamed of his own longing. Ember screamed, not from physical pain, but from seeing too much. Stop showing me who I could have been, he begged, voice shredded. Goku Rap didn't stop. He spun, heel whipping into Ember's side with